Are there any questions on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not going to see my boss until I start.
You what? Sorry?
I'm not going to see my boss until I started, so can I turn in back in?
Yes. Yes, you can turn it in. What you'll be doing then once you start, and if you're doing over break, what you need to be doing is keeping a daily journal. And we really don't care to know that you did this, you filed this many papers, you made this many phone calls. What we want you to do is think about the work environment. You're being assigned work, you're working with someone. Is this person a good manager? Is he a lousy manager? Do you want to grow up to be this person? Do you never want to work for someone like this again? Is there a better way that you can think to distribute work, to assign work? Is this a field you want to go into? Does the paperwork you're filing, does the research you're doing, does the promotional task you're doing, whatever you're doing, is it making sense? If you're working for a nonprofit, some of you are going to be working for Habitat for Humanity. You'll have a manager. Yes, it's a good cause, but are they maximizing what you can offer? Is there a better way for them to use your talents? So that's what we're looking for, and that's what we want to see in the daily journal pieces. The daily journal, some of them can be one sentence, some of them will be a page long. You're going to use this journal and you're going to hand it in at the end. It'll be one of your deliverables, but the reflection piece that you'll have to write at the end will be a lot easier if you maintain this daily journal. Okay? If you try to do it at the end, it's not going to work, and it's going to reflect in a reflection piece that is not very good. So, just like, yeah.
Where is this?
I have extra contracts, but it's also, it's been sent to you, and it's also, I believe, on Canvas, but if not, I have extra copies. Yes?
Should the journal be written or typed?
I'm sorry?
Should the journal be written or typed?
It would be a lot easier if it's typed.
One credit's 45 hours, right, for internship?
I believe it's 48.
48.
Okay? Yeah.
If we're using one of the trip
Okay, you register the 3 credit short-term classes are 3 credits. Which one are you going on?
I already went on it.
And that's counting last time? Okay, so it's only 1 credit capstone you're going to be signing up for. All of you will only be getting 1 credit for the capstone unless you've gotten special permission from Dr. Wellman or I. Okay? Sometimes we've had people who have had semester-long jobs downtown with like an investment company, and they're spending 2 8-hour days down there. So that would constitute a 3 credit capstone. But we've not heard from any of you who would qualify for anything other than the 1 credit so far. Okay? So, any other questions on it? Talk to you, Kristen. To Kristen.
All right, who wants to start? There you go.
Do you want an copies?
They're recording.
Do you want?
Yeah. Laptop policies.
I didn't get the clicker. I'm sorry. I didn't get one. Just use the thing and I'll go down and get one.
Is it all good to go?
Yep, all good to go.
Okay. Well, my name is John Medet, and I'm here to show you all why laptops are a detriment. So I'm going to start off with a quick question. How many of you all use laptops basically in, it doesn't have to be in a business class, but just a class in general? So I'm going to be telling you all that you shouldn't be doing that, you overall. Pretty much there's like 3 problems you can distract yourself for others, you limit your interaction in the class, and your grades are going to suffer. Pretty much with the distraction part of it, I remember one time I was in an econ class, I had my laptop from a English class, we were doing peer edits, but Professor Neary wouldn't be the most entertaining kind of guy, so I was starting to get a little bit bored. So I pulled out my laptop, started surfing the internet. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh, there's like some Champions League soccer games on, so next thing you know, I'm watching the games. I'm not listening to them anymore, I'm not paying attention at all, so pretty much, I don't know why I'm there, I'm being distracted. And people behind me also getting distracted, because they're seeing anything that's on my screen is more exciting than what's going on about supply and demand curves. It also limits your interaction in the class. Like if a professor's asking a question, he's going to ask for participation. You're going to be less likely. You're going to be more entranced in what you're doing and what you're looking at than to answer his question. And your grades might suffer, and that's pretty much just because if you're not interacting and you're not participating and you're not even paying attention, then how are you going to get the grade that you deserve? And don't just take my word for it. There's some statistics by a University of Colorado professor who did a study, and she found that students who use laptops performed 11% worse on tests. So that could turn your C+ into a B+. And I think we all would rather have the B+. And the students who use laptops perform the same as kids who didn't even go to class. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go to class, but if you bring your laptop, you might as well. And then it also applies to other electronic devices like cell phones. If you're texting, you're not paying attention. And with cell phones these days, you pretty much can do a lot of stuff that computers can do, so that's going to be distracting. Music players, I don't know why you'd be listening to music in class, but if you can't hear, you're not going to be paying attention well. And Kindle, if you're like reading Hunger Games or whatever, you're not going to be looking at the PowerPoints. You're not going to be paying attention. So pretty much, laptops just distract you, and it's not good. We're here to learn. It's a learning environment, and all those distractions can wait an hour and 15 minutes for class to end. And I'm not finished.
Next? Who's next?
Okay.
Okay, I'm John Magnuson, and I'm here to talk about obtaining an MS for accounting majors. Alright, so first off, how many accounting majors are in this class? Okay, so a few people. Well, this lecture will be important for you guys, as well as anyone who's considering looking at graduate degree study. Okay, so we all know that for your regular BS, you need 120 credits. However, accountants, in order to take the CPA exam for a certified public accountant, need to obtain 150 credits. This can be completed with 30 extra credits at an undergraduate level, or by obtaining your MS in accounting. This is a statewide policy, and not just a requirement for the Maryland Business School. The time for your MS usually takes about 1 to 2 years. It's 36 credits, so most people do it in 1 year. Things you'll learn at the Maryland Accounting Institute are internal audit application, trends in corporate governance, accounting and management planning, and fraud prevention. So, one thing to know, accountants with MS degree make substantially more money. I'm not going to lie, it's about $45,000 at the University of Maryland and in-state, and then about $52,000 out-of-state. However, for the starting salary, if you only have your BS, it's around $50,000. Or if you have your MS and BS, it's around $60,000, as well as the average salary is around $75,000, and it's about $95,000 if you have your BS and MS. So another advantage is that you'll have a higher employment rate if you have your BS and MS, you're going to be at about 97% employment rate, whereas if you only have your BS, it's about 95%, which is slightly different, but it really amounts to a lot of people. Okay, so another thing that's good is it's a good resume builder. You have something to show for your extra 30 credits. People are really looking for this nowadays. An MS or MBA is usually needed for a management position, and the upper 10% of accountants make about $110,000, and you're not going to get there without a management position. Another thing is tough economy, so everyone's going to be looking for the same jobs. This will also help you prep for your CPA exam, because if you're taking your MS in accounting, you're going to be taking strictly accounting classes. Whereas if you're just taking your BS, you can be taking any kind of classes you want, and you're probably not going to be taking hard accounting classes that are going to help you prep. Okay, who has the first question? Overall,
So you're an accounting major?
no, I'm not actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's an interesting one because if you actually look at like University of Illinois, Ohio State, that all have very good accounting programs as well. The best accounting students actually go on to get their MS degree, but the trend never caught on here. And you can sort of make the argument today that the cost is actually quite high, but even going back to when the program was actually started way back, the cost difference was not that great. They still did not actually go on to get their MS in accounting right afterwards. So
Yeah, it's a 45% acceptance rate here. So
go back to your slides. So what's the difference? Starting salary and then average salary?
starting salary is right out of college. That's what you should be making. I kind of averaged it depending on different sites. There wasn't really a general consensus. And then the average salary increases about $20,000 gap. So you could probably.
So is that like 5 years out?
Yeah, about
Yeah,
5
it's-
to 7. Yeah.
Okay. Because actually, I mean, the other argument to make of why you do want to do it is if you actually do look at salary differentials between people that have bachelor's degrees and graduate degrees, that salary differential does generally get greater as the years go by. So it's actually an interesting piece to sort of look at that part. The other thing is, I mean, the other reason to do it is oftentimes people say they're going to go back to school, but end up not going back because of, marriage, family commitments in general. So the idea of actually getting it right away actually has a lot of advantages. Again, it's been a mystery here to many people why we've never been able to successfully sell it.
How long is that?
Question.
What?
How long is that?
1 year, 30 credits.
Yes.
How do you spell salary?
Salary. S-A-L-A-R-L.
How many L's?
L-L. L? That's what I said. You're tricking me. How do I spell it?
That's a new way to spell it.
Yeah, there you go.
They innovated.
All right, who's next? Thank you.
This is an extra thing here. I didn't know he had a thing. I considered him like. How do I sign it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Emma. I'm going to start asking questions pretty much like everybody else did. How many people here have gotten a full-time job offer for when they're done with school? All right, pretty much as expected because most of us are sophomores. But how many people here would like to have a full-time job offer when they're done with school? Okay, good. So the good news is that this presentation is going to be relevant to everyone in the room. The bad news is what I'm going to start with, though. What do I go first? Just the arrow button.
Right one.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like impaired here. Okay, so brace yourself for this bad news. 7.9% of college graduates are going to be unemployed when they graduate, which means they're just not going to be able to find a job. And I think that turns out to be about like 3 people in this room. statistically speaking. And half of you are going to be underemployed. That means that you're either not going to have a job in your field, or you're going to have a job that's paid minimum wage or something close to that. So I know a lot of you are thinking, well, wait, I have really good grades, I'm a really good student, so I shouldn't have to worry about that. I'm not in that 50%, I'm definitely going to get a job. Unfortunately, everyone in college gets good grades, and everyone does a lot of good clubs and everything. So it's an extremely competitive field, and it's not going to cut it anymore. So this makes me really nervous because I always thought my good grades were going to get me a job. So what are we going to do? I don't know if anybody's heard of a soft skills transcript, but I think this is a really good way to help make you more competitive when you graduate in order to get a job. So, what are soft skills? I think we talked about this a little bit in our class last semester, but soft skills are your non-technical, personality-specific type skills. And these are going to be things like your leadership skills, your communication skills, your ability to work with different cultures, and even maybe your ability to adapt to change. So, how is this going to help me? There's a quote actually I found from Rolls-Royce University Research Liaison, which is kind of strange, but he said that soft skills tend to differentiate good college graduates from exceptional college graduates. So this could help you really stand out if they can see that you have exceptional soft skills. The students that get job offers are those with their strong skills, as another Career Center representative says. This is also going to help a lot with the interview process because a lot of people feel a lot of pressure when they're going into interviews. And if you have a transcript with your soft skills, there's less pressure on how you act in an interview because they're able to see that you have good leadership skills and good communication skills on this transcript. So, what I was thinking when I first saw this was, how is this any different than my resume? My resume shows that I'm in clubs, it shows that I've been presidents of all these different things, and that I have good leadership potential, so why can't I just give them that? And the answer is credibility. If we have a soft skills transcript, it would be something that is certified by the university. We went through the ILLiad simulation, and in order to get a soft skills transcript, we would go through something quite similar, and it would assess our soft skills like leadership and communication and team building stuff. So it might be a little extra time, but I think it'll be worth it. So I think everyone should be on board with this idea. We can't as students necessarily implement it, but I think that the university should take it because it really is an easy way to improve our chances of getting employment as undergraduates. And it promotes being more well-rounded instead of putting so much pressure on getting an A on a test. Does anybody have any questions about soft skills transcript?
Your slide about 50% underemployed at graduation, where did you get that from?
I have the sources on my computer. Just over in here.
One of the
It
things
was a,
that
Daily News article.
I would tell you to do is to actually really focus on that term, underemployed. It is an economist term, and we actually do classify people as being underemployed at graduation. So what that generally means is the job that you went into technically does not have that, is a degree requirement. I've seen various numbers, whether it's 50%, 25%, or whatever. But I would tell you to live in fear of that every day and think through what you're doing differently, because once you graduate, if you're in that category, the number of people that I have watched graduate from here that are in that category that ever come out of it generally do not. If you actually look at economic statistics about the offer that you get when you graduate and to what extent does that carry with you 5 or 10 years later, the power of that first job is actually so important. One of the worst decisions that people make sometimes is when they graduate. If you don't have a job at the day that you graduate, it doesn't get better. It actually continues to go down from there because your marketability at that point is generally much less. So during that junior and senior year, really think through what you're going to do so that you have a job at graduation, that you are not underemployed. What they generally do, but the trend actually continues, is they go back to graduate school. Graduate school is not the option to turn around underemployment because, based on the cases I've watched, it actually has not worked.
And one thing I read, it was saying that for people, for the 50% or whatever that are underemployed, 70% of those people never get out of that.
No.
Like they stay in jobs that don't value their education.
I mean, I can think of people I know that are in that category that have been either in BSE or just in my classes in general. And you can go back 8 years later, and they're still, I would put sort of in that category. So again, put that up, make it a poster on your wall. Are you going to graduate underemployed? And think about what you're going to do so it doesn't happen to you. The other thing I'd say about soft skills, you could put them on your resume. You just have to be able to explain them. Is in terms of if you say that you scored such and such on an assessment, if they ask you what that assessment is, you just got to make sure that you can actually make the case that it's something that is notable, that they can sort of recognize. So, all right, thank you. Who's next? Yeah. By the way, this evening your dress code is formal dress.
It'll be very helpful then. Dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. Hi, I'm Maya Liebert, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about a proposal to implement a dress code here at Van Munching. As you can see from what I'm wearing, a little preview, this is a business casual attire, and some students here today are dressed the same way. So today I'm going to talk about first the present dress at Van Munching, the disadvantages to this dress, and then I'm going to talk about why this needs to be changed. Then I'm going to go into what business casual is and how this dress code can benefit the students here at Maryland. And then I'm going to conclude and summarize what I've spoke about. So, Van Munching, as you all know, we're here today, is the home to the prestigious Robert H. Smith Business School. It is about 238,000 square feet, and it cost about $70 million to build. Students come here every day to learn about, take their business classes, and there is currently no dress code here. Students can be wearing jeans, sweatpants, leggings, sweatshirts, even hats, and it doesn't look very professional. Some of the disadvantages to this lack of a dress code is that students can be less focused. When you're wearing sweatpants or if you're wearing sweatshirts or anything comfortable, you're more prone to taking a nap during class or not taking as great of notes. Secondly, you won't be as professional. In the business world, many people are judged based on how they look. According to the study by Frank Bernier, an associate professor at Oregon State University, he mentioned that within the first 10 seconds of meeting somebody in an interview, you are judged on how you look, and it affects how they will think of you and if you will get the job. So basically, if you put in a little bit more effort to dress professionally or in business casual clothes, you're more likely to get that job than somebody who is less prepared. Thirdly, you will be unprepared for the real world. I had an internship this summer, and it was about 3 days before my internship, and my mom just mentioned, oh, do you know what you're going to wear on your first day? Went to my closet, I was like, oh yeah, I can wear this dress, can't I? She said, no way, that is not professional enough for your first internship. So then I had to run out to the mall, find actually this outfit, and wear it to my internship. And there are many students that if they have any extra money, they'll go and they'll spend it on cute clothes for going out or even just comfortable clothes. But they really should be investing in business casual clothing, and if we have this dress code, then they'll be prepared and they'll have these clothes waiting for them in their closet for when the opportunity arises. Lastly, it fails to meet the prestigious reputation of the Robert H. Smith Business School. According to the U.S. News and World Report, our school is number 18 of the best undergraduate programs. We need to represent that by dressing well. And if we're wearing not very business casual clothing, then people are not going to think that we're such a prestigious school. We need a change. We need to implement a dress code here at Van Munching. We don't want people snoozing during class. We want people learning as best they can so they can go out into the real world and have a wonderful job. So if some of you don't know what dressing business casually is, here's a little guide for you. Men, you can wear khakis or cotton pants, you can wear polos or button-down shirts, leather shoes, just nice shoes, and don't forget to wear dress socks. Women, you can wear similar things, including dresses and skirts, and for your shoes, you should be wearing heels or nice flats, anything that looks appropriate. Some items to avoid, according to the University of Wisconsin, are basically anything that you think aren't appropriate for any day life. You shouldn't even be wearing them to class if you don't think they're appropriate. Some things would be sweatpants, as I said, leggings, cropped shirts, shirts with inappropriate writing on them, work boots, unless that's where you're working on a construction site. But basically, you just want to look appropriate. You want your hair to be done nicely. You don't want to have dirt on you, shower regularly. So you just want to look very professional. Some of the benefits for having this business casual dress code here at Van Munchen is that you will be prepared for the real world. If you have an interview scheduled, or if you want to go to a career fair, you can just go into your closet and take out the clothes, and you'll know exactly what to wear because you've already been wearing it to all of your business classes. And you've also seen students walking around wearing similar things. Something that's very important is that at Van Munchen, we have many important lecturers coming from all over the world, and we have career fairs happening here a lot of the time, and we have a lot of business events happening here at Van Munchen. If you're walking down the hall in sweatpants, you're not going to want to go up to a professor even, or a lecturer, or a potential employer and speak to them. If you're already in your business casual clothes, you'll have that confidence to go up to them and talk to them and promote yourself. Lastly, I believe that you will get an increased focus if you wear business casual clothes throughout the day. There's a saying, dress well, test well. Many students believe that when you go and take an exam, if you wear a suit or a dress, or if you dress well, you'll be more confident when you're taking that test, and in the end, you will do better. In conclusion, we need a change at Van Munchen. Students can't continue dressing the way that they're dressing. There needs to be a business casual dress code here, and the reason for this is it will increase professionalism, and it will make our students prepared for the real world. And it will also represent the prestige of this amazing business school. So I would like to ask you, who would you hire? Thank you. If you have any questions, let me know.
The images help a lot in terms of like presentations like this. And I could actually come up with some really good images just walking around this building of issues of sort of dress related. If you really have a hesitation to dress business casual type things, you may really want to think about the organization that you work. There are a few organizations out there that you don't have to sort of dress up for, but they are sort of few and far in between in terms of business casual. Go back to your slide, the actual dresses. I want those slides.
This one.
Yeah, I'm not actually rip those off and use them for.
It's from Wisconsin. I can send you that. There's a whole thing.
Is it okay? Yeah, because when we go on trips and stuff, that helps a lot. People always want to know what to pack. So again, images help to actually see it versus just the actual words. So should this apply to faculty?
Oh yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Okay, can I go again? I know, right?
Hi, I'm Sam Palmer, and today I'm going to be explaining why we need progress reviews for all direct admits to the business school. First, I'd like to ask who here is in the business school? And of you guys, who was directly admitted right from high school? Okay, so this will apply especially to you guys, and even those in the business school who weren't directly admitted. I'm sure you know of some people who might really need a progress review. So here's some basic stats about our business school. Currently, we have around 2,500 students. And each year, there's around 6,000 new applicants, of which only about 22% are admitted. For those who want to be admitted directly from high school, you need 1,300 on your SATs, 29 your ACTs, and at least a 3.2 for your GPA. And in high school, those might be great numbers, but for the Smith School, which is ranked 18th in the country, that's really not that impressive. Does anybody have any idea what % of business school students are directly admitted from high school? Just any kind of rough estimate, maybe? Yep. The answer is actually 71%. That means that 71% of all students in the business school were admitted based only on their high school accomplishments. While they might have done well in high school, that really doesn't mean they're going to do well in college. College is not high school, and I'm sure we all know that by now. There's a lot of adjustments that need to be made, and some students really don't make those adjustments fully. I myself was a direct admit, and that actually helped my decision to come to Maryland. So we shouldn't get rid of direct admission. It's definitely a good thing, but we really do need to have reviews just to make sure that students are on the right track once they've been admitted. The current problems with direct admission is that a lot of students, once they're in the business school, don't really feel the need to work quite as hard as students who are trying to get into business school. Currently, the only review is you need at least a 2.0 when you reach 45 credits, which at least that's some mark, but that's really not a high mark to strive for. The current system really just doesn't motivate students in the business school as much as those who are trying to make their way into the business school. And a lot of students really just don't reach their full potential as a result. And as I said before, college is not high school. So my solution is to have a new system where if you fall in the bottom 10% of at least 3 classes in a single year, you'll be up for review to be kicked out of the business school. This will only apply to the 100 and 200 level classes, which are the classes that are available to all students, whether or not you're in the business school. So if for 3 classes, that means in 3 separate classes in the whole year, you fall in the bottom 10%, you're not automatically kicked out, but you're up for review. It'll be done on a case-by-case basis, so you'll have an opportunity to meet with an administrator and explain why you feel you should still be in the business school if you had some sort of special case for some reason. By implementing this, there'll be many benefits. For starters, it'll eliminate all the students who really don't deserve to be in the business school, because I'm sure we all know that there are a few students that got in right from high school and just never put in the effort that most of us have. Also, it'll improve our school ranking, because with higher standards, we'll attract better students for the future, and hopefully we can move up from number 18. And then that'll also improve our GPA without inflation, because obviously we know that we can improve the GPA by just simply raising grades, but we'd rather improve the GPA by getting rid of the bottom level students. And then lastly, it really just encourages hard work for everybody in the business school, as well as a slightly competitive environment. It's not going to be every grade on a scale of X, certain people get an A, certain people get a B, certain people get a C, but it'll just really add a little bit of competitiveness to the business school. Does anybody have any questions?
Improve school GPA without inflation. We're using forced distributions.
Well, if you have a forced distribution, that means that the GPA is going to be what you want it to be, regardless of what the students do. But if you get rid of the bottom level students, the GPA will go up, not because you raise the GPA, but because you have a higher level of students in the school.
We axed them.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we schedule this presentation next faculty meeting?
It's a topic of discussion here in a major way, actually. And anyone that teaches a large number of students can actually see differences sometimes. In terms of where did I get this, Pat, all of these topics actually are things I pulled off the web. So if you look at the Wharton MBA program, Wharton had a huge problem. They really felt that their MBA students were not motivated enough, so they actually put in the policy of the bottom 10, and it actually still happens to exist. And I think they actually do their classes a little bit differently now. They're like 7-week classes. I think now you can do up to 5 or something like that, but they actually do have this policy that you go into review if you're in the bottom 10 too frequently in your first year. Yes?
You said it was like a case-by-case basis, but like, what does that mean? I mean, what would they look at when they're like deciding? Because everyone that's getting reviewed has been the bottom 10% of
So somebody could have had some kind of family trauma that really just affected them for a year. You know, if there was some kind of extreme case where you were in the 10%, but you really can do better once you're past that situation.
So do they notify you when you're going to be reviewed, and then whether or not you like pass?
Yeah, you'll be notified, and then you'd have a meeting with whoever, I don't know, whatever board or whoever decides if you get kicked out or not. And that way, it's not like if you're in the bottom 10%, you're automatically kicked out. It's you're up for review to be kicked out.
So is it like 3 classes per year? Just
Per year. Because these are also for only the 100 and 200 level classes, which are usually just freshman sophomore.
That's great.
And going back to Wharton, only 6, they bring in 700 MBAs, only 6 were actually impacted, but they mentioned the dynamics of actually how it changed their culture, is that it actually did make it a lot more intense. So sometimes easy policies can have quite the impact. Thank you. Sam, did you give me a copy?
No.
Oh, just make sure
Not
you
email too.
okay.
Sure, start.
So you're going to sell us on the MS program too?
Yeah.
All right, very good.
So my name is Sue Perez, and I'm also going to be talking about the MS in accounting. So by show of hands, how many of you are accounting majors? Yeah, just a few of you. Well, that's okay, because if you're not an accounting major, you probably know somebody that is an accounting major, like myself. So if you were not paying attention earlier, you're probably wondering what is the MS program in accounting. Well, it's a new program that Maryland just recently started, and basically it allows you to complete your 150 credit hours, and out of like the 150, 120 of them will go towards your BS, and then the 30 will go to your master's. It's 12 to 16 months, and it's 15 to 22 credits depending on the track that you choose to do. And you gain different skills such as leadership and teamwork skills. And you probably also, like, the program also focuses on like different tracks such as like the compliance and financial reporting and management planning and IT security and quite a few more. There are many benefits to the program, and not only are you getting 1 degree, but you're getting 2 degrees in the amount of 1 degree. So in 4 years, you can complete your BS and your MS. The program is also very flexible, so you can take classes during the day, during at night, and if you work, you can take classes during the weekends too. And the program like has a lot of benefits that have to do with money. So not only are you going to be saving money because you're going to be completing your BS and your MS together, but you're going to have more career opportunities because employers tend to hire somebody with a master's degrees and not just somebody with a bachelor's degree. And research has shown that the higher your education, the more money you earn, so you will have a higher salary. So if you're not an accounting major, please tell your friends about the program because it's a really good deal.
Are you an accounting major?
No, I'm not. I'm undecided.
Their MS program here, one of the differences between their MS and other MS programs is that it's just not accounting classes. You actually take courses in a broad range of areas, and part of the reason for that is the fact that accounting firms actually said that they wanted more soft skills. So there's a real sort of soft skill component to the program. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Alright, so my name is Robert Ott, and I'm also going to be talking about the direct admittance into the Smith School. But in my opinion, I feel like it should be completely eliminated. So with that being said, how many of you are currently in the Smith Business School? Okay, and how many of you are applying or want to be in the Smith Business School? Okay, so it's obvious that a lot of us are affected by this, and it's a big deal. So before we can go on with the flaws of the current system, we need to actually look at it. So for incoming freshmen, direct admission is based on previous academic records, and this includes like grades, job experience, and volunteer experience. Once these students are admitted, they need to maintain a 2.0 GPA as well as completing like various gateway classes. And these gateway classes need to be completed by the time you complete 45 credits. You need to maintain a C- average for each of these classes. And these classes we've all taken on. They're like accounting, BStat, macro, and micro. Alright, for the students who are applying or transfers, you can only apply once you have completed 45 credits. So this is usually your sophomore year. It's the same gateway classes, but you need to maintain a 3.0 cumulative GPA instead of a 2.0. And admission is not finalized until after 60 credits are completed. So why eliminate the current system? I feel like it puts too much stress on previous performance. It ignores the fact that some students worked or took harder classes in high school and therefore may have received like lower grades, or just simply did not perform well. It also encourages motivational problems. Once you get admitted into the program, you can kind of like hot dog it because you only need a 2.0 GPA, which is pretty low. And I know most of us can do that without much effort. A new system. So basically what I'm saying is, with all the flaws considered, no one should be directly admitted into the Smith School. I feel like with this, students will continually push themselves because a 3.0 GPA is required, and it will ultimately raise the GPA of the school. Everyone will be given a clean slate, so you won't have that one high school grade coming back to haunt you, and it'll make it easier for those reviewing your application because everyone will be on the same level. And lastly, I think it will increase competitiveness within the business school. The students will be competing for the same spots, and it'll bring about a competitive spirit. So that being said, I think the current system is inadequate because it stresses too much on previous experience and promotes laziness. And I think everyone should have to apply for admittance because it will increase competitiveness and will motivate students to try harder. So that's it. Are there any questions or comments about the topic? Yeah.
Would you be open to like revising the current requirements for direct admits instead of just running the whole program and maybe raising the GPA requirement or something like that?
I feel like, yeah, raising the requirements would probably be another option, but I don't know, I think just completely eliminating it would be the best way to do it because it puts everyone on like the same level.
So what is your system in terms of, so how would you admit? Just GPA, or how would you make the decision to admit? I mean, it used to be when the policy wasn't there, you pretty much looked at the grade point averages. We had 300, 400 slots, you drew a line, and then that was it. But then that was, I think, modified at some point in the 1990s. So what would your policy be?
I don't know, I think it should be like pretty much the same criteria, like your GPA, like your work ethic, and like other like experience that you've, I don't know, just like there's like a bunch of different things I feel like should be considered. I mean, like not just GPA, but like your rigor and stuff like that too, I guess.
Do you know why it's so easy for like people to get in when they're applying from high school than when they're applying when they're in here? Like, do you know why there's such a?
I actually didn't realize that it was that easy. And then, Sam, where did you get your statistics from on those, like the 300? I thought they eliminated that. I didn't think there was a cutoff anymore. Like it used to be that, yeah, you needed a 1300 on the 2 sections of SAT.
Oh.
So like your numbers.
That was from a business week.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So
that's what
that
they
could
would
have been a
be.
year or two
Yep,
updated.
okay. Yeah, it used to be set criteria, but we actually do not. Like today, if somebody, like if a freshman asked me why they weren't admitted, I used to be able to say, what was your SAT? And then I could say, because of your SAT score, or your high school grade point average. But we actually do not publish today what the numbers are,
So, but it is based on GPA and like SAT.
I guess. We don't discuss it. But it's supposed to be based upon those factors. But there's no cutoffs anymore. Cutoffs technically are never supposed to be used in admissions. You're never supposed to talk about cutoffs. And we did it for years. It was clear. It helped people understand it. Because again, if somebody comes up to me today and says, why weren't you admitted? I'm not exactly sure why they weren't. And you do find some variation of numbers. So, but you know, part of it is, I mean, I can make an argument. I mean, if you actually look at the profile of the business school, there's definitely underrepresented groups here. So sometimes you demonstrate flexibility on those cases. So, all right, thank you.
You want to take this one?
Alright, hi, my name is Steve Davies, and today I'm going to be giving you a proposal for why the Smith School Business should implement final exams that are comprehensive. So a comprehensive final exam is an exam that tests information learned over all 4 years of business school curriculum. And this exam will be taken in the fall of the senior year for business school students. So basically the problem with why we should take a final exam that's comprehensive like this and cumulative is that students forget information over time. It's natural for people to forget information once they've learned it. So this loss of information causes a loss of proficiency, which is obviously bad because you want to remember what you learned in college, because that's kind of the point of going to college, is to remember how to use the information that you learned. So with this, without being able to have this information available anymore, you're less prepared for future endeavors such as your future job or for future MBA programs. So the solution to this is to implement the comprehensive final exam. And the reasons that we should do this are, 1, to promote long-term learning, and 2, to prepare for grad school. So before I argue for the comprehensive final exam, let me debunk some arguments against the exam. So one argument against the exam is that you shouldn't evaluate performance based on one exam, because this might be disadvantageous to students with test anxiety. Some people freak out when they're taking tests. So some students may say that it would be bad to test an entire whatever you've learned in college based on one exam. So my resolution to this is that students may retake the test if they fail, which allows them a second chance opportunity to pass and to study again. However, students who fail twice will be dismissed from the business school. But that's kind of their problem because they clearly don't know the information that they were supposed to have learned in the business curriculum. Another argument is that students say that they've already passed their classes, they've already gone through this once, why should I have to go through it again? And again, along the same lines, proficient students, if you're actually proficient in the information that you're supposed to have learned during your business school classes, you won't have that much trouble taking this final cumulative exam. And again, the students who fail this exam clearly haven't learned the core values that are supposed to be instilled through the 4 years of business school. All right, so now that I've gone over those points, let me explain some arguments for why we should implement them. So one of the main thing is just that students forget information that they've learned. This is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. A famous German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus developed this curve. This curve says that newly learned knowledge is half in days or weeks unless the information is renewed regularly. And every time the information is renewed, you remember it better, and it takes less time to recall the information from your long-term memory. So you have a better grasp of the information every time you review it. So these final exams would theoretically make you review information throughout the course of your career in college. And this review process would help assure that you'd be able to remember the information in the long term and be able to use it in the future. Another advantage to the comprehensive exams is the MBA advantage, where many MBA schools for business are now having these comprehensive exams. And these MBA schools basically require you to learn all your MBA stuff and be able to remember it. So by taking the undergraduate exams and being able to have practice getting used to having to remember all the information that you've learned throughout your entire college career, it'll be good practice for taking these MBA exams, and it'll also help you prepare for grad school in general. So now that I've gone over these arguments of why it should be implemented, this is a basic timeline for the implementation. So basically, if we started in spring of 2014, I think that the professors could create all these exams, and they would be able to prepare these exams for the next fall in 2014, where students, graduating seniors, would then be able to take this trial exam. And once these trial exams were taken, then in the spring of 2015, all the information will be able to be collected and the exams will be able to be adjusted and made fair. And then in the fall of 2015, we could start implementing these exams for real. So in conclusion, I think that we should implement these exams because learning the information in college is the most important part, and it'll ultimately help for the MBA programs. Thank you.
The exams already exist. So it's if you actually look at like high schools and stuff, you had your, what was it called, like outcome assessment exams at the end. It's coming at the college level. It's just a matter of when. And technically, we have them already. They're a little bit disguised. You actually take them at various times because we have to report them to our accreditation agency. But once we actually have to start reporting back to Maryland, and it's coming, because if you actually look at for-profit universities, they have to report certain type of statistics. You can't discriminate between profit universities and not-for-profit. So we're going to come under some of the same guidelines. And again, a lot of it becomes how do you actually talk about outcomes and what outcomes are you going to evaluate. But it's just a matter of time. Yes?
Would it be more like the GRE, which is like a lot of subjects, or would it be specific to the business school?
The ones
like,
we have done are specific to the business school.
Like 200 and 300 level classes, or just?
Yeah, actually, the exam is 200 and 300 level, and then it goes into major questions on top of that. So we actually have numbers. We don't report them at all. We don't want to discuss them, but they are out there.
Something that would be implemented for us. Like, would we have?
Oh, I mean, it's out there. You take it. You just don't know what it is, I don't think.
So don't throw out your notes.
But again, we don't use it. It's not used against you.
Okay.
So, yeah, but we have our data. We actually have it.
You'd also say some of the students who travel, study abroad for a semester, that trips them up with some universities, because some universities that they go to, the classes will have absolutely no deliverable. They will have a test at the end on the whole semester. And
if you're thinking about studying abroad, make sure you know the policy of the school you're going to, because if that frightens you, you may not want to go to that school.
Yeah, no, it's very common at international universities. Yes?
What happens after they fail choice? I know they're dismissed, but that seems kind of like that's a lot of money and a lot of time they've spent to get absolutely nothing out of it.
That part I actually did make up. Generally, you got to go back and take courses to get your skill level up to a particular level. And ours are really interesting because where people have a lot of problems are accounting and finance. So we've looked at those courses and said, okay, are the courses actually that bad that people don't actually retain the knowledge? And I think one thing that happens is when it actually comes to like a lot of group work and stuff is that people do what they know how to do well, and you really sort of build off the strengths of the others, but your weaknesses continue to be weaknesses because somebody else in the group handled your particular weakness. So we actually think that the group work actually hurts when it actually comes to outcome assessments because people can actually get by without ever knowing certain knowledge. So. Who's next?
Guess that would be me.
It's actually it's in 495 is where the course is, where you actually take it currently. It's a multiple choice. Yeah, it's a required class. It's a multiple choice exam. But again, they don't actually tell you what you're actually taking. We actually used to use a very standardized simulation that would allow us to compare our results against other graduates, but we didn't like the results, so we stopped using it. So.
Question for me already?
No, you're good.
All right, so my name is James Burke, and I'm here to tell you why the University of Maryland should institute a dual transcript system that takes into account soft skills. But before I go more into the plan, could you guys do me a favor and raise your hands if you know what soft skills are? All right, sounds good. So for those of you who don't know, soft skills are personal attributes that enable someone to interact effectively and harmoniously with other people. So this can be a personality trait such as enthusiasm or motivation, or it can be an ability such as someone's ability to be a leader or work well in a group. And unfortunately, soft skills are not easily measured. So we frequently rely on hard skills, which are specific teachable abilities that can be easily defined and measured. So can anyone give me some examples of soft skills?
Leadership.
That's good.
Communication.
Yeah, all right, those are all good things, and lucky for you guys, I have some of my own here. So ability to work in teams, verbal communication, these are just a couple examples of soft skills. So as you can see, these are sort of difficult to define and measure, but there's no question that each one of these things is extremely important. Importance. So this is a chart that shows the rate of importance candidates and skills that employers put on various abilities. So as you can see, things like working in a team structure, making decisions, solve problems are all ahead of things like technical knowledge related to the job and proficiency with computer software programs, which are more hard skill things. So continuing on that, there's a direct application to employment of soft skills. So whether you're tasked to give a presentation on a certain new good or some various product, you're going to have to be able to speak in front of a large group and clearly and concisely convey your message. And this is also similar to working in a group. Are you someone who's flexible? How do you take criticism? These are all things that are extremely important. Interview. A lot of the times if you have an interview, they have seen your hard skills, they've seen your resume, they know, how you did in accounting. But they want to know more of what you're like as a person. And it's very important that you have the soft skills to be able to communicate with these people. And like Mr. Constantino talked about when he came, the airplane layover test, which is where the employers are thinking, is this someone who I could spend a night stuck in an airport with? And this is also impactful in daily life, whether it's
Are you able to prioritize certain chores you need to do, or are you motivated to do the things you need to do in everyday life? So I plan to institute a dual transcript system that uses assessment center results as a basis for the transcript. And as you know, assessment center results are very highly regarded by many employers looking for jobs. So this would provide a lot of credibility to the system. And for someone who does not have the best hard skills, but might be extremely creative, this is something that could benefit them, because an employer would be able to see that they're creative and then might have a position that would work perfectly for that person. And that's an example of how this gives a student a leg up. But it also would provide the colleges with a leg up, because as you can see, this would be something that the University of Maryland could talk about when it tries to get more applicants or get more people to attend the school. They would be able to bring in more recruiters, and these are all things that would sort of boost the stock of the University of Maryland. And we all want the perfect job that pays a lot of money, has great benefits, but it's important that we find the perfect job for us. And this would be something that the soft skills would help us do. They would help us find a job that is a perfect match for us. And finally, soft skills. So instituting this dual transcript system would make soft skills a priority. And as you can tell, soft skills are important not just for employment, but for life in general. And if we put more of a priority on that, we would be able to sort of improve our communication, our presentation skills, and everything that would just, benefit us in the long run. Thanks a lot. That might be a familiar picture. I don't know if you've seen that before anywhere, but that was on Emma's. The last picture.
No one remembers.
Yeah.
Comes up on Google Images.
Yeah. Newsday.
How do you suggest we assess the soft skills though to put on your transcript?
Yeah, so like we mentioned before, it would pretty much be through the assessment centers we do, and the assessment center like Iliad and what we did earlier this semester. And they're not exactly fun things that no one really wants to do, but at the same time, they hold a lot of credibility with employers. So that'd definitely be something that would benefit the students looking for jobs.
Would there need to be a standardized assessment center, or?
Yeah, I would say standardized would help, but I think if there were a couple ones that employers recognize, because employers recognize the Iliad, and I'm sure they would recognize the one we did, although it's obviously not as popular like we talked about before, but I think having one standardized would help, but it wouldn't be completely necessary.
I had this one too. Since you put it on the thing, did you have a proposed way to assess it? Because I just kind of I thought about the Iliad since that told us about our leadership and networking skills. But did you
The school that went through this discussion is actually the University of Wisconsin Business School, and they actually did not, I think, end up they didn't implement it, and they really never actually had a defined way to actually to do it. But you usually would use some type of test instrument, such as the Iliad would actually be one example. There's actually multiple examples that are out there. And then the question becomes, how do you actually report some of that data? And that's what happened in Wisconsin. It just became very touchy about how do you report that data. So if you actually look at assessment results, I can get those in two forms. I can get those as A, B, C, or D, or I can actually get those as percentiles. I generally order them as percentiles. The percentiles are harder to look at than the actual A, B, C. The problem with percentiles is on a percentile basis, it's a true percentile. It means somebody's got to be at the bottom 5, the bottom 10, and you want a transcript out there that says you're in the bottom 5. One of the best things to put on a transcript is actually ranking data. So if you graduate from a lot of schools, you'll actually have class rank data. That's actually more valid than actually grade point data, because it shows, so if a GPA is inflated, all I got to do is look at the ranking data, and then that'll cancel out the GPA data.
I read that one university, they put a group of students in a team building thing for a whole day. It was 10 to 12 hours. To see how they interact with each other and their leadership skills and stuff, but I just don't understand. I don't know. I didn't understand how they would judge that. Who would come in and decide that you're good at whatever. I don't know. It seems kind of.
You're a licensed industrial organizational psychologist. So there are people that are actually trained to look at those particular types of things. So like the people that are grading your assessments, they are IO psychology students. You eventually get a PhD in IO psych, and then you can go out and become a licensed psychologist as well. So, yes?
If you do poorly on those assessments, can you opt to like not show that transcript to people? Just like if you have a poor GPA, you can like choose not to include it in your resume.
Well, so a transcript, somebody says that they want a transcript, you got to actually show your transcript. So this would be the same way. You technically don't have to show it. But if somebody says request it, and they know that the school is using it, you then would actually have to show it. Okay. Again, requesting a transcript, it's usually done towards the end of a process, not the beginning. So, yes?
But would any employer like see these skills like during the interview section?
Would they see them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that happens with whether it's like soft skill assessments or even like standard GPAs, the question is the assessment data, the grades, are they consistent with the interview performance, or are they really different? If they're really different, that's when there's a lot more questions. But oftentimes, your grade data, your soft skill data may actually reinforce the interview performance. Again, the question becomes when it's inconsistent, how do you handle that particular piece? Yes?
For the simulation that we did, like the assessment that we did, you said that we could have gotten 2 different grades for it? That like
You could do, you actually got percentiles. I prefer percentiles. But it's a little softer if you say just give people like an A, B, or C, or D.
Because like if I'm applying for an internship right now, if I want to put that on my resume, like which would look better? You know, like
Percentiles. Well, it depends on what your scores are.
I think I was like in like the 75th or something like that. So like let's say it's something around there. What would that translate as far as like a letter grade?
I would. How they did it? That would transfer into the B range.
Okay.
Yeah, on their sheet. I would say anything like in the 80 percentile or above. The big thing about using any soft skill data is you got to be able to explain how did you get that grade. How was that actually done? What was involved? And it's a matter of being able to explain it. Any other questions?
So would you have to interview everyone then? I guess like
what?
You have to go through everyone, right? The whole like school, like every student, right? Like if they did implement this at a school.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, you do. Well, you do everybody within I think Wisconsin was doing it within the business school. I'm not sure if it was actually university wide or not. So that's the end of the presentations, right? Yes.
Are we gonna? I was trying to ask earlier. Are we gonna have to review ourselves presenting, like you said earlier?
Yes, we're. So the videos from last week should be posted in the next several days, and hopefully these will be as well.
So then we
It'll just be out on I'll put it out on a private site on YouTube, like we did on the other things.
And then what do we do with that?
You watch it, you evaluate yourself using the rubric. And I sent you the rubric, but I'll send it to you again when we actually post it. Yes?
You sent in the email about the like the progress reports or like what we wrote from before and like.
Yes.
So
you sort of told us what you were going to do.
Yeah.
The question becomes.
But like, first of all, I don't think we ever got our grades on that, and like we didn't really get any comments.
So I actually do the grade based upon that piece. I actually do them together. So to some extent, did you actually carry out what you said you were going to do there?
Because I thought you were going to give us comments to like if what we had on there wasn't like enough or something, and you would approve us. I was kind of.
We sort of went through it.
So we should just.
There were varying levels, but I would say that no one was like.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like so, if we just stick to what we
really
did,
bad.
you won't.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. There was no one in there that I thought that was really like doing nothing. I mean, there did appear to be substance there. The question is, did you actually go back and sort of carry it out?
So as long as we carried out what we wrote about, then that's okay.
That's what I'm looking for, an evaluation of it. With some type of critical analysis to it, what did you actually get out of it?
Okay.
So obviously if you put it down there, and most of the things that most people put down were I think pretty fair, pretty legitimate.
For
But
those of you who said you're going to read 6 books, you better get reading.
yeah, and the question becomes, you know, again, telling us how do you actually discuss, how do you actually present to us what you actually got out of it? So how do you convince me that if you said that you were going to read, you know, the Dale Carnegie book, how do you convince me that you really got value out of that particular piece? So, I mean, I'll give you an example. I posted on the Elm site, so the last semester, the innovation piece, like the guy that did the, you know, the PowerPoint piece, much more interesting and informative with different insights. So the question becomes, how do you actually take those things and put it like in a useful, informative format? So, other questions?
Regarding the videos, like you grade ourselves, right? And then are you just gonna, after we grade ourselves, you guys evaluate? Like I don't really understand how.
Well, I have my own evaluation
Yeah,
system,
okay.
and I mean, I think the thing is, to what extent do we actually see differences between what I say and what you say? Is there a real perceptual divide between those two? I don't think there should be, but we'll actually see whether that's the case or not. Yes?
Are we like graded on how accurately we evaluate ourselves?
That's all. I mean, I can't really grade you on that particular component, but I think there's a, you know, if you go back and watch yourself, it's usually a pretty powerful thing to do. I mean, it's the best way I know of to, rather than just sort of give you feedback on it. So. Any other questions on? Yes.
If we're doing like an internship, I remember originally it said like it was due December 3rd. Is that the sheet that's due, or is that a separate assignment? Then you sent out something about like describing an internship with like.
We do want a pretty good idea before you leave here. And part of the reason for that, you know, whether it's I think I did list the date today in there. We want a really good idea of what you're doing because some of you are going to do it over the winter term. So
Just email you like what we typed out for that.
or actually bring it in. Claudia actually gets them as well, so we actually share them. Yes, but bring us a hard copy of it as well.
Next class?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Or tonight.
Oh, tonight, okay.
So tonight we're down in the executive dining room. Other questions?
You want these tonight or tonight?
I can give it to me now. Yeah. All right. Thank you. No, that's good.
I know some people like when they look at percentiles, it's like you're 96, that was like 96%. Okay, thanks.
For the presentations, I think some of those are presentations. No, these are. Somebody did Prezi the other day. How was that?
It didn't work the other day, but it should. I'm not sure why it didn't.
But you have it done?
It's almost done, yeah.
Do you want to like check it? You want to go on there and check it?
But I want to use some of the middle school regards to force distribution. Do you have anyone like I could get in contact to that have a lot of information on that?
The use of force distribution?
Yeah. You know, like specifically in the department.
Find it. Hey, well, I'll get somebody for you. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember?
Apparently you ran out of time.
Should I
and
just
asked
shoot you an
lots of
email?
questions. No, I don't remember. I wasn't privy to that discussion.
The force distribution?
Palmer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'll check.
I'll just shoot you an email.
I think it's Rebecca or Ratner.
Okay.
I'll check.
All right, thank you very much.
I emailed you a copy of my PowerPoint.
Okay, very good. Yep. All right, thanks.
Appreciate it. For next week, I think it's next week, I'm presenting. I can't get it. It's I plan to keep classes around
The big issue is actually getting it.
Okay. Alright. I didn't get a chance to email you my PowerPoint.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Also, on a complete side note, I was thinking about what you said during my presentation about how, like, should the honors program have the same, like, grade distribution and whatnot? And I was like, I came up with the answer no. Because, like, it's like, we, like, take all the same classes together, right? And, like, a lot of these people, they have, like, 4 O's and, like, 3 9s anyway. And if you like force like a grade distribution onto them, they'll just create like resentment and like high level competition within like the program. It's like pretty much like a living learning community, so we see each other like all the time. And if we're forced to compete like for grades, then like it'll just create like an environment of like resentment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It didn't work last
like,
week, but I don't know why.
discourage collaboration, which like would be bad. And that was like my response to it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I'll see you in the evening.
All right. I like your colors there.
Oh, thank you.
I have an interesting question for you.
Oh, mine's my first.
Sure, I can
Go
ask.
Okay. I emailed Claudia about missing the second quiz, and she said that she got like the lowest grade.
There's no background.
Which one is that the which one is that?
The second quiz.
Yeah, if you did
Which how many
once
points?
I brought my suit home for a funeral, and left it there. So I'm still wearing a tie and a shirt on my jacket.
But I was thinking because since we dropped the lowest, like I did really bad on the first one.
I was gonna break it
So
up.
I was wondering if I can make the second
Some people don't even have a tie.
Yeah, it was just the font. Because when I
You want to take down her information.
You can probably exit out of all of them. Well, except one. I think someone does have one of theirs, but I think that one's bad class. You can exit that one.
I know. I knew. I saw you that. I was like,
Did you read it?
Yes.
Okay.
That one you can exit out. I will. That would have been awkward if you didn't. Exit out of that one.
Oh, you know what I didn't do? I was gonna make them like slide.
You could close all those.
I think one person came in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You could exit.
Yeah, but I mean like one like less than
He's fancy. Oh, you can exit that one too. Okay, I don't know where they went. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
I have it printed out, like I can show it to you, but I was going through it and I realized like there's an error in the spacing. Can I reprint it and bring it in? And then for next week for my Costco presentation, how much time do I have in the class?
Should be about 15 minutes.
Okay. Can
I'll look at that to make sure.
Yeah. So like I was looking at the presentation you and it's just like really like informative. Can I like make it more like ask them questions and stuff? Like can I engage them?
Yeah,
or
you
is it
definitely
more-
can. Again, I want to go back and actually look at some of those slides. I mean, you want to make it like informative for your audience.
So I could like make it informative by telling them about like Costco's competitors and the industry outlook and everything, but then could I ask them like what they think the problems are in the industry or like what they think
Why they may be thinking like they can, you know, the industry doesn't make a lot of money, so you know, like why the industry
I got it. Okay, so I can ask them.
Oh, when I
like that.
did see it, no, I saw the window.
All right.
We want to ask about the internship I have. I've actually been doing since September, and then we continue doing it in the spring. But it involves I build content for clients of the website. I like build charts from and graphics and write articles for them, post it on our own website. Those quotas involve about like 8 hours of work a week, so I have like 15. I have to have 15 separate posts. I was wondering if that would be qualifying as a 3 credit or a 1 credit hour.
How many hours?
I do about 8 hours a week of work. 8 hours of work a week. I've been doing that since September, and I'm going to continue doing it into the spring.
Check with Claudia to make sure. I don't think we've done it that way. You got to remember, I mean, why do you want to report?
I just emailed. I'm actually going for a double degree, so it help it would be easier to take 155 that way. Because I mean,
So you're an
I just
accountant.
put it on mine.
No, I'm actually
I was
I'm a marketing major and I'm also
all
getting a
have
degree in
ours on the same
psychology.
flash drive.
And because just to get the major requirements, I have to hit like 140. So I figured get the extra 10 to get a double degree.
All right, yeah, email Claudia, you can copy me on it and also say why you want it.
Okay.
Because of the extra credits. She knows, we do it based upon an hour number, and I just don't remember what the hour number is.
Okay.
How we do it.
I think it was like 48 was just for the one credit, I think she said.
She knows it better than I do.
Okay.
It's all numbers.
I thought you were gonna keep trying.
Yep, go ahead and look.
There's two flash drives.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Oh, both. Should you save them on? Yeah, just save them on the computer. Okay, there were two flash drives in there. I didn't want to take them out. Yeah, one of them is for the. Oh, okay.
Okay, I just watched your We Need to Talk video. I laughed the whole way through it. It was funny.
You laughed through what video?
Their We Need to Talk video. She was funny.
How do you say
You're a
that?
pain.
You
mean I can't tell?
Oh, man, that's Pat.
I know. Oh, I know.
Professor.
I can't tell that joke. What? No, that's a good joke. Or just, you can also just drag and drop it.
So we're not coming last time we didn't present.
I can't even get a USB case.
At some point, you guys have one more question.
So.
Conversation yesterday. There's a client at the business school here. She's like, "Can you tell me the real GPA that I need to have?" I was like, I looked at her and I'm like, "You're competitive."
Yeah, my USB.
Hey. Yeah, I like your necklace. Thanks, it's not mine. It's my relation thing. Every time I really get something compliments on it, so I never want to do it.
That always happens with Katie's quiz.
And I never get compliments or anything, that's fine, but like whenever anyone else is like, oh my god, it's so cute. And I'm
Did you live in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to get this out. Yeah, my USB.
You're doing yours something.
Nice.
I know. What did you title this year?
Is it moving?
Are you staying for tonight? That room, I think,
Check and see what time it empties out.
Where's it?
I think it empties
What time
out.
are they setting up? We're supposed to set up. I didn't do it.
I don't know, I was wondering, I have the room starting at 6. It starts at 6:30. We may have to help you. I don't know how long. At 7 o'clock it takes a while.
I haven't named him.
Where am I saving this?
Oh no, it goes to the desktop.
I have no idea where it is. I have no idea where it is.
I'm letting him. I mean, they do their own.
Some catering agency. Claudia knows.
Okay. Well, they should know what time they're in the room and what time they have to be set up. It's very incognito to know if you're having. Yeah, it's like crash that stuff here. That's good.
We open up the PowerPoint too or no?
If you want to, yeah.
Maybe it's on the desktop and you can grab it really quick.
So no one shows up on this
Oh, yes, there it is.
Oh, are you?
Actually, sit back down there and do it because it's not going to head.
Sure, absolutely.
I just want to answer. You didn't even look up. Friends from last year. I love you guys.
They got laughing.
Claudia.
Hi. How are you? I have a question.
Yes. You wanted to meet this week about the internship. Right. I'm available. What's today? Last week. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
So Sean?
That might be the better. And what is it for the boys? 2 weeks.
Wear flannel.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
For that.
We're all set.
I'm gonna ask for Are these the papers? Like,
Oh, you mean the? Yeah. And then the black. It's like the my next one. No, it's the same one that's like the red one. A lot of black dresses. I know. It's not a type. Yeah, it's like the same material. Okay. Yeah, no, they're the same. Yeah. No, I thought you meant the red one is like the blue. That's
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You go ahead and give it to me. I mean, it's just a matter of like, what takes you back. No, it's still the same. I mean, it's a different. different instrument that one. You go ahead and give it one is sort of an analysis of interaction. The other one is what you actually do.
Did it say you was going to like 2:30?
I will.
Do you know if we got it?
Yes, we did.
I'd be like, we're running out of
Oh, that was changed. Did you like one of these? You might like that one.
Hi, everyone. Does anyone have contracts for the capstone? I'll take them now if you do. If you don't, that's fine. Are there any questions on your capstone? Everyone signed up for internship or service learning or yes?
What is the $500 study abroad thing do for the spring?
What?
The What's a $500 like scholarship for the first time study abroad?
What does it do? You need the application?
No,
What class do you go on? Okay, that will be credited. Did you fill out the application? Why don't you do that? It's online. It was due December 1st. We'll still accept it, but it's due now.
Yeah, I don't think you got it.
Anyone else have a question? Are you all signed up for the right credits and everything? Yes. Taking the what?
that innovation and immersion trip.
Right.
What do we sign up for?
You're signing up for the, let's see, the innovation trip is CPSP220.
Is that going to be up later? It's not up there right now.
How are they getting into the innovation? Who's signing and registering for this? Is that on to Studio?
Yeah, but I handle a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's permission only. I'll handle that one.
So you'll be registered for that. That's the 3
Well, actually, I will instruct the people to give you permission. But they still technically do it.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Can I make an announcement? Yeah.
Can you make an announcement?
Yeah, I'll take 30 seconds.
Yep.
So me and Jake are actually interning for a company right now. It's a new startup website called University Prime Time. It's awesome. Yeah, you'll be writing articles, like posting every day. If you're interested, hopefully I think that will fulfill the requirement for this class. So
yeah, it's basically like an updated version of Facebook events. So it's like if you go on the website, you can see everything that's going on in the area if you're invited or if you're not. It's also kind of a mix between BuzzFeed and like other websites like that. If there's like lists of different things that people like, just like 17 new ways to look like Harry Potter and stuff like that. So I mean, if you guys enjoy writing random stuff like that, if you guys think it'll be fun to post random things and you can have your name like written by me, whatever. It's a really good way to fill the internship. So
yeah, also it's blowing up at a lot of other schools,
except
not so
here
much at Maryland because we haven't really gotten the team together. Me and Jake are kind of like starting the team here.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, come talk to us.
Okay. Anybody? Who does not have a clue of what they're doing for capstone? Okay. 2. Okay.
Talk to us.
Well, okay, internship or service learning or you don't know. Okay, well, you've got a little bit of time, not much, to decide. And, all right, come talk to me after. Okay? Everybody else? Okay, everybody have the contract to take home with them? To have it signed?
I think I need one of those.
Okay, I've got them right here.
Should I come and grab it now?
Yep.
Claudia, when you need those boxes, can I grab them?
If you have them before the break, that would be terrific. Some of you may not see the person until after, so.
All right, who's first?
Yes. Okay. What do I stand for class? If you want to know that.
You'll be second.
Okay, contracts have been mailed to you. Good. They're here. Yep. Anybody else?
Yep. All right.
Yeah. Already. Hey, Dave.
Hello everyone, my name is John Stern, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the laptop policy. Is it working?
Looks like you got him plugged.
Alright, so what we will be discussing today is what is a new laptop policy, what's the issue, why do we need it, and how is this policy going to address the problem, and how do laptops affect your learning process, your learning environment, and the speaker in the classroom. And then at the end there will be time for questions. So let's begin. So what is a new laptop policy? It's pretty simple. Basically, we will be proving the use of all laptops, netbooks, cell phones, smartphones, any electronic device that you might, bring to class will not be allowed during class time.
Jeff Miller will enforce the policy.
Exactly. The reason this is becoming an issue is a recent survey showed 89% of college students own a laptop or a netbook. 70% of them own a smartphone. It makes sense that students are going to start bringing these things to classes, and when one student brings them, other students are going to start following. And although technology can be a great way to learn, it often serves just one purpose, and that's distraction. So how does it affect your learning process? Well, you might start out well. You're following with the lecture, everything's going good, you're taking notes, but halfway through you might start thinking, maybe I should check my email, what's going on in the news, check social media. The temptation will arise, and chances are you might be distracted. There are attentive students who think that they can, with the faster speed, they'll take better notes. That can often result in something like this. Rapidly typing every word you hear, as the professor says it. This isn't actually learning, this is just mindless data acquisition. You're not hearing what's being said. Laptops also affect your learning environment. They can cause eye strain from the screens, and it can just distract you when other people around you have them. Professor Miller said they caused a cone of distraction, where when you have your laptop up, everybody behind you can see your screen. If you get distracted, they're going to get distracted. They want to see what you're doing. It just causes a whole mess. Students without laptops can focus more on big picture concepts. They're going to ask better questions during class because their heads aren't buried into screens. And how do laptops affect the speaker? Well, professors want to see your faces. They don't want to see the backs of computer screens. They want to see people paying attention. They want to see that you're taking notes, not checking Facebook. And here at the Smith School, we have a lot of high-profile speakers, CEOs of big corporations. And if they are coming into a class, they want to be welcomed. They don't want to see a bunch of people distracted and nobody paying attention. Everyone's down looking at their laptops. They want that personal connection, face-to-face, and eye contact. Also, during classes in college, you should be practicing your active listening skills. Practicing these in college is going to help you a lot in your career where you're going to need these skills.
That's all I have for you. So who has the first question? You know, one thing I'm often asked here is, how will this policy actually be implemented? And my answer to that is, it should be up to the professor, but we would recommend a one warning system, and then after that, a penalty to the grade, either in participation for that day or whatever assignment was graded, you know, for that day. Are there any additional questions?
I'm pretty good at multitasking. I really do think that I can actually surf the web and listen to the lecture and get the value out of what the speaker is saying. So I'm really in the room listening, even though I am like on my iPad. So I don't understand the significance of it.
There are actually a lot of studies that show people think they can multitask and they can be listening and doing other things at once, but when you're multitasking, you're not effective at what you're doing. You are not paying, you are not concentrated. You're doing too many things at once. So I would say that for the best for the learning environment is to just turn off the electronics, keep them at home, don't bring them out while class is going on. Any additional questions?
How are you going to enforce this? Because, I mean, there's now so many, I mean, you got iPhones, iPads, the actual laptop policy. I mean,
well,
you got to, like, grab it out of my hand?
No, I mean, we can't necessarily do that, but we can ask you to be excused from the classroom if you refuse to turn it off. And, I mean, there will be penalties if you continue to be using, you know, electronics in class. That's up to the professor how they want to handle the situation, though.
All right. Very good.
Yep. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before we get started, by a quick show of hands, how many people did some sort of research before deciding where to go to college? Hopefully, everyone did something. Now, this brings up the question of what do students look for when they're deciding on where to go to college, and how do they get this information? Certain factors, such as cost and location, are easy to research and compare amongst institutions, but other things, such as the strength of the academic program, faculty performance, and student satisfaction, are a little more difficult to decide and compare without the proper resources. Bloomberg Businessweek has been ranking business schools since 1988. They started with 20 MBA programs and have since expanded to undergraduate and MBA, both part-time and full-time. They now rank any qualifying institution that meets the necessary criteria. These were the top 5 ranked undergraduate business schools for 2013. As you can see, the University of Maryland is not listed. Not only did they not make the top 5, but they were actually not included in the rankings at all. This is because for the past few years, the University of Maryland has been lacking in one critical component when it comes to the rankings. The criteria that Bloomberg Businessweek uses when ranking business schools is employer opinion, median starting salary, academic quality, the undergraduate to MBA crossover, and finally the student assessment. The way that Businessweek measures this component is by sending out an email to seniors that are graduating. It's a survey of about 50 questions. They use the information that they gather from that survey along with the response rate. So the amount of students that actually respond to the survey counts for 50% of the student assessment component. The student assessment component counts for 30% of the overall rankings, meaning that if a school doesn't have enough students that actually take the time to respond to the survey, they're automatically taken out of the rankings and will not be listed. So how do we fix this problem? Quite simply, just by putting something at stake that the seniors care about, and for them, that's graduation. By mandating that they fill out the survey in order to graduate, you're going to increase the response rate significantly, hopefully to 100%. We are all familiar with the University of Maryland system currently, where at the end of the semester, we receive an email asking us to fill out a review for our professor in course. The responses remain anonymous, however, the University of Maryland can still track who has filled out the survey. By instituting a similar program for seniors, we will be able to track who has filled it out and increase the response rate. While we do want the seniors to fill it out, it is important to let them know that this is not a time to address minor concerns they have with the program. Maybe they've had an issue with one professor or one class. We want to make sure that they're directing those concerns to the faculty and staff at the Smith School of Business. We want to make sure that they're taking this opportunity to show their school pride and letting others see what a great experience they've had here at the Smith School of Business. So what are we getting out of this? By encouraging seniors to fill out the survey, take the time, we're going to hopefully include University of Maryland in Business Week's rankings of the top business schools. This is going to attract the top students when they're looking for colleges. It's also going to attract employers. They're going to see the University of Maryland has been included in the rankings and hopefully become so impressed that they're coming here first for interns and when they're looking to fill jobs. And so by mandating that the seniors fill out these surveys in order to graduate, we will be included in Bloomberg Business Week's ranking process, which will improve the Smith School reputation both inside and out of the business world. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, thank you for your time.
How do we mandate that when in fact it's not our survey?
Well, the University of Maryland actually has to provide Bloomberg with the emails. So by creating a similar program that the University of Maryland overall uses for these surveys, I think that it'll be able to both give the research that they collect to Business Week and the University of Maryland.
But we give them our, we actually do supply our email addresses to them of the students. But we cannot actually sort of like mandate that they fill out. In fact, once the survey goes out, we are actually not allowed to communicate with the student regarding the actual survey itself. We can actually tell them, you're going to get it. We did provide your name to an outside party. You're going to get the survey. But we're not allowed to say anything else.
Well, I think maybe if not mandating that everyone does it, just mandating that a certain percentage do it in order to collect a certain number of responses.
So we haven't even been getting at that number to even get like in the rankings. So how do I make the case to tell people to actually fill this out?
Maybe encouraging professors to do it in class, having a day where students have to bring their laptops to class and have to do it in class, something like that.
Questions? All right, very good. Who's next?
My video, so I guess I'll Can I start?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know, I'm Alyssa, and today I'm going to be talking about the importance of implementing a business casual dress code in bin munching every day. So raise your hand if you've ever gone to class wearing sweatpants or pajamas or whatever you wore to bed the night before. Okay, now raise your hand if your professor has ever showed up to class dressed like that. Yeah. Okay, well, for most people, we have not had that experience, and that's because, number one, our professors are a part of the professional environment that Van Munching is trying to prepare us for, and also they know that this is a lot more professional and respectable than this, and no one's really going to listen to anyone standing in front of a class dressed like that. So you might know that right off the bat, your appearance helps establish rapport, and it also helps you achieve a level of respect that you probably aren't going to be able to get by wearing your pajamas. And lastly, it highly contributes to people's impressions of you, and in particular, their first impression. But what you may not know is that, according to a 2011 study done by Harvard Medical School, that people assess your confidence and trustworthiness within a quarter of a second of meeting you based completely on how you look. So why does that matter? Before I answer that, I'm going to answer two questions. Number one, what is business casual? And number two, why do we need it? So for men, business casual is khakis, cotton pants, collared button-down shirts, polo shirts, and so on. For women, it is cotton pants, appropriately length skirts and dresses, sweaters, cardigans, blouses, and you don't have to wear heels, which I know it would be the best part for me. So to answer my second question, why do we need business casual? I have part of a video that I want to show you that kind of satirizes what life is like if you don't regulate what we have to wear. And just be warned, there's a little bit of colorful language in it.
You can call me Mr. S. I have a note from the principal. No jeggings.
What? Come on, they're jeans.
No, they are leggings. They're just disguised to look like jeans. Yes, Stacy. We can see your whole ass crack.
Whatever. What about my jacket?
Hey, is that a tank top jacket?
Yeah.
No, it's very slutty and it can't be worn.
I bet you hate these sneakers too, don't you?
Yeah, those are definitely banned. Now, are those pants you're wearing, what are those?
Stockies? Stocking khakis?
Yeah, gotcha. They're not allowed.
What about Aaron? He's wearing a hat.
This is a yarmulke?
What about my yarmulke?
Wow, yeah, no, you're 16. That is definitely sacrilegious.
So I'm gonna bet I can't wear it.
So, obviously the video is a little bit ridiculous, and no one's really wearing like sneakers or stockies, and if you want to go home and watch the rest of the video, there's like other really funny stuff in there. No one's really dressed like that, so why does this matter? But even if you're not dressed inappropriately, at the very least, most of us are dressed unprofessionally, and even if we're not dressed inappropriately, dressing business casual every day has a lot of benefits. So I've grouped these benefits into three main categories. So first of all, establishing and maintaining a professional environment. So the business school here is very proud of the fact that they're preparing us for a professional environment that a lot of us are planning on entering. And as students, we are representing the school, and we should be doing so by looking and dressing professionally. Also, there are recruiters constantly in and out of the building, and if we're all dressed like slobs and you see your dream boss out there, he or she is probably not going to consider you for a job, considering how important first appearances are. Kind of going off that, preparation for the future. I'm guessing a lot of you came to college to prepare for the future, and that's probably why a lot of you are studying business. And part of being an adult and part of being professional is dressing business casual, if not nicer. And we might as well start now and be that much more prepared for the future. Lastly, and most importantly, the correlation with success. So, according to Forbes, people who dress better, number one, have higher incomes than people that don't. Number two, have higher productivity levels, have higher levels of self-respect and composure, and have higher levels of respect from other people. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if we all start dressing business casual every day now, we're going to be more successful as students, which means that the business school is going to be more successful, which not only is going to increase our rankings, but it's also going to give us a better reputation and help us get better jobs in the future. So in conclusion, every day we wear business casual. So does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Does this apply to faculty?
Yeah. But like I said, faculty is normally already dressed business casual or better.
Who's next?
Tonight is business casual.
It's
Business formal, sorry.
And now everyone is
formal. Tonight, yes? Yes. Right? It was in the memo. You don't want to wear your heels walking all the way from their lecture from where we are. Carry the whole class. That's right.
Okay.
So yeah, my presentation is about the idea to have class each day a week, and that includes Friday. But this particular idea means not only have the discussion on Friday, but also the class where we learn it. So first, I want to mention why I chose this particular idea, because kind of the way I understand it is the whole point of the assignment was to pick something that's not popular, but at the same time, I also wanted to find something that I kind of agreed with, and this I actually do, because as a double major, I actually do have class on Friday, and it's at 8, and it's not fun, but after like a few months of doing it, I've come to appreciate the fact that that's the way it is, because at least for me personally, it's more efficient that way. But that's more of a personal note. My 2 concrete ideas are these. The first being that having class on Friday generally has been proven to curb the consumption of alcohol the night before. And the second, the space issue that's been mentioned in the past 2 presentations of how, like in this building, we have trouble accommodating everyone that we wish that we could. So this was a study done at the University of Missouri. So what it was essentially is it was a survey of about 3,300 students, and the way it was done is these students kind of like. So what happened is that they were given a pre-college kind of questionnaire. I'm assuming about their drinking habits, and then throughout their college career, what they would do is each week they would kind of self-report what they did that week in terms of drinking, and in the meantime, people that were doing this project also had access to their schedules, their grades, their transcripts and such. And after about 4 years, they're finding by this guy who was like in charge of the project that approximately 2/3 of students who consumed some alcohol Thursday consumed that. So the point being that it's been proven that having class on Friday would, actually, I mean, well, it's been proven that the people that didn't have class on Friday actually kind of let themselves go and tend to binge drink on Thursday, which the definition of that was having like 6 or more drinks that night. So that was that point. And then the slightly bigger point, I guess, is the problem that we don't really have enough space here. I'm assuming that the way that it should be, that the way that we want it to be, is that for all of the business classes to be held here at the business school. And then the other issue of student clubs and organizations not really having like the space to meet here because of classes. Like I'm in this club called CASH, the Community Inspiring Shareholders, and we actually have that problem. We can't ever like find a certain room that we can meet on like each time we have to independently schedule that meeting, and it's usually in a different place. So I conduct kind of it's not an experiment, but I wanted to see what the benefit would be of having an extra day per week of class in terms of the space that we would have here. So basically, I went on the schedule for next spring, and I wanted to calculate what the average class size was for each section, and these are the results that I found. So there were approximately 311 sections next spring, and the mean was around 35 people. Pretty big standard deviation, but I don't really want to talk about that. What it means. So basically, I wanted to calculate how many students the business school would have to accommodate per week if we were to hold all of the business classes here, which is, I'm assuming, what we want to do. And what I found was by multiplying the mean by the total number of sections was it's around 11,000 people, and that's of course an approximation. So what that means is that if we had class 4 days per week, and this is assuming that, well, I mean, again, this is an approximation because we would be assuming that each day it's the same like amount of people that are here, and it's not. But approximately each day the business school would have to accommodate about 2,700 people. With the extra day on Friday, you would only have to accommodate about 2,000 people. This is approximately a difference of 550 people, and what that means is that per day we could accommodate 15 more sections if we were to have class on an extra day, and I find that by splitting that number by the number of sections. And that's it in terms of my data. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Sean.
How do we do the alcohol surveys by group?
Right. Actually, so the way that it was done is all of the students who participated in it volunteered themselves to do it. So I think we can only assume that if these people spent time each week to tell these people that data, then they were, at least wanting to come at a somewhat valid conclusion.
Survey data on alcohol and drug abuse is always an interesting piece. One over the other.
Thank you.
Now, what's the issue? Now, we're making an assumption that if people drink less, they do what more?
Go to class more the next day and not have a hangover.
Okay. So they're going to engage more if they did not drink the night before. How do you feel about that? All right, thanks. It's always interesting to do. If you ever actually talk to people that drink a lot about their behavior the next day and making an argument that they should actually stop it because if they do, that they could actually perform better the next day. They don't always buy that argument.
I don't have my slides, but I'll have them tonight.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, right. So
no.
No, it's only the title bar.
Yep, slideshow.
Really close.
Right there.
There it is.
So coming from somebody that just went through the direct admit policy, right? The admission policy, right?
Alright, so my name is Dan Iona, and I'll be talking about why we should eliminate the direct admit policy to the Robert H. Smith School of Business. So I'm going to start with a personal story. Coming from Maryland in this area, I always wanted to pursue business as a major. I looked at the top schools in this area and saw that the University of Virginia was ranked high up there in pretty much every ranking. I did some research and saw that you can't apply to the University of Virginia direct from high school. Rather, you have to go through 2 years of work and then apply internally. I didn't get into the University of Virginia, but I applied to the University of Maryland and did not get into the Robert H. Smith School of Business. Rather, I was letters and science undecided. So then, my only hope of getting in was to apply internally, which was a very hard process that I happily made it this semester. But now, I'm going to talk to you about why that direct admission to the Robert H. Smith School of Business should be completely taken out of the policy. I believe that my experience and what I researched will help us become a better school. So, why is the University of Virginia McIntyre School of Commerce better than us? Well, if you see, the criteria is 54 credits internally. Everyone has to apply internally. They look at the load course per semester, and their prerequisites are very similar to us. The data shows for the past 4 years, the mean GPA has been 3.6 of all those admitted. Now that's a very high GPA and at a pretty good prestigious school that has always been in the top rankings. So then we're going to look at the Robert H. Smith School of Business. If you're a direct admit from high school, all you need is a minimum SAT of 1,300 and a 3.2 average. I don't know about you guys, but a 3.2 in high school is a lot easier than a 3.0 in college. So then, why is it fair that the kids that got admitted with the 1,300 from high school have all the benefits of being in the school right away, and I didn't. Well, I had to have a minimum 3.0 GPA, which we all know that isn't the accurate GPA of getting in. Rather, it's around a 3.5. I had to have minimum junior standing as a sophomore to get the same luxury of being in the school as you guys had, most of you had as freshmen. Also, I had to have a C- in all my gateway classes, which we all know you need to do better on to have a better GPA. So again, 3.2, 1300 SAT score. What is SAT score really? It's math and reading, and what kind of math is it? It's algebra, geometry, stat, probability, and basic reading. How does that carry over to college into accounting, econ, business stat, and calculus? I don't believe it does. Companies don't want to see your high school achievements on your resume when they're interviewing you now. Why should the Smith School take your high school credentials into account when admitting you right away? How do they know what type of student you'll be? Maybe you had an easy teacher. Maybe you did better in high school because you cheated. You never know. You never know. So why not do well at the Smith School for 2 years and then prove your worth by applying internally and therefore making us elite? We can be elite. We can be ranked. We just have to save the spots for kids who are genuinely passionate about being in the school. I believe that my process, I proved that I was passionate and was determined to be in the school. I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, I did well in high school, Dan, why shouldn't I be rewarded? Well, this is a great school. We have great facilities, great faculty. We should take advantage of that and only let the kids that really, truly want to take advantage of the opportunity, and we should be well known. We should be better than University of Virginia. All my friends that go there are complete, terrible people, and we are so much better than them in many regards. So I won't take any questions right now, but I believe that we could be better than we are right now by eliminating the direct admit process. Any questions? First question.
So what's bad about your friends at UVA?
All my friends at UVA think they're better than everyone because they go to the University of Virginia. Their schools are always ranked a lot higher than us and just look down on Maryland a lot. But you know what? I look around our Smith School, it's great, and I think we could do a lot better than them. And even though we're not ranked, we can be ranked, and then we could show it in their face that we're better than you guys. Yes.
One of the students in the last class suggested the lower 10% of those direct admits get dismissed from the school.
I think everyone should go to the same process. The University of Virginia is renowned and has a great reputation, and everyone goes through the same process. Lower 10% still doesn't really mean anything. What about the middle 10? We need to evaluate everyone at the same level, same GPA. That's my opinion, and I think that will make us a better school.
In terms of getting into the McIntyre School, what is their criteria?
Their criteria, they don't list it like we do. They said 54 credits, I think. 54 credits. They look at the load course, the difficulty in courses, their trends in performance, and prerequisites. They didn't list exact courses, but if you look at the mean GPA of those admitted and how many admitted, it's usually a 3.6 and above. Here at the University of Maryland, it's 3.0, but we all know that 3.0 isn't really accurate, as it's very highly competitive to apply, and everyone says you should have a 3.5 when applying.
Look at the dropout rate of students who don't get into the business school in Virginia.
I did not look at that.
That's always an issue.
Now, are the criteria the same for the outsiders?
I'm sorry?
Is the criteria the same? Like if I'm outside, so I'm not in UVA as a freshman or sophomore, but I apply to McIntyre. Same set of standards or different?
I'd have to get back to you on that question. I was just looking at directly.
We actually had a student a few years ago that made the decision to actually go to the McIntyre School. So he actually was applying to Smith and to McIntyre. And it's first time, he actually got into the McIntyre, and as you can imagine, he'd leave after his second year. But it was unusual to see that. So if that criteria actually is the same for transfer students, I could actually see where technically it's probably then easier to get in McIntyre as a transfer than actually to get in UVA as a freshman. Any other questions? Thank you. By the way, the one student that transferred, I actually did stay in contact with him for a little while, and he said that it really wasn't that much better than Smith. All right, who's next? Are we done?
No.
Are you taking the team analysis yet?
No, he's good.
Hi guys, I'm Katie. I'm going to talk to you about how we should have a required work experience at Robert H. Smith School of Business. Just want to make sure it goes that way. So I think a required work experience is really important because it will benefit the Smith School to every individual in the school and to the school overall. So some reasons it would benefit each individual, so all of you. One, it will give you relevant topics to discuss during job interviews. So when you graduate, you'll have something relevant to discuss with employers, so something that they want in new hires. And you will have had previous interview experience, so you'll be more relatable and relaxed in your interviews. And second, you'll have connections with potential employers, so you'll already have a foot in the door at a place that you might want to work after graduation. And most companies are more likely to hire from their intern or co-op pool, because they are taking less of a risk hiring you because you've already been trained and you already know the environment and how the company generally works. Third, you experience a professional setting, and that's very important because you learn how to interact with bosses, with your peers, how to dress, and you really understand the culture of working in a professional world instead of just at school with other students and your professors. Fourth, you have a more competitive resume. There's really no downside to having a more competitive resume because you'll be a better competitor in the job market. It will be easier for you to get a job after college. It might be easier for you to get into a graduate program you might like. So there's really no bad side about that. Sorry. And then you will, every single day you go into work, you'll make new connections with new professionals, so you'll expand your professional network exponentially. And these people could write you recommendations, they could help you get a job at a different company if you want to go somewhere else after college, and it will definitely help you in your continuing your professional career. And finally, for yourself, you'll get higher starting wages. If you have work experience, you can ask for more money, and generally during some co-op programs, you'll get paid, so everyone wants to make money, so I think everyone would like that a lot. And then there are a lot of benefits to the business school as a whole. So if each individual student is better and better prepared and has a better resume, we'll graduate more qualified individuals. So each individual will have experience and be able to get better jobs, make more money after college, and will definitely be in a better place in the business world overall. And if one person goes to a new company, recruiters will see how good they are at this company, and they will come back to the University of Maryland and want to recruit more students. So if you go work for like Deloitte and they realize, oh my gosh, this person's so great, they'll want to come recruit more students from that school. And it'll prove awareness and the reputation of the business school. So the business school, if you go out and do great things and we're working places and we have better resumes and each person is better, the reputation of the Smith School as a whole will be automatically improved. People want to come recruit more from our school so that in the future more people can get jobs and will be higher ranked among professional institutions. And finally, if you have Maryland alumni in high-ranking positions at prestigious companies, you'll have more people wanting to make donations to the Smith School. You'll have more people wanting to come recruit our students. So our overall program can continue to grow from these donations and from these alumni over time. And here are some examples of programs that have worked in the past at Drexel and Northeastern. One student said it significantly increased their base connections in their professional network and gave them a lot of interview practice, so they were definitely much more prepared going into the workforce. And the schools say they have developed long-lasting relationships with employers, so they have good relationships with companies outside of their school. And business students who participate in clubs get paid. So obviously you want to make money, you get to go to school and make money at the same time. And your average starting salaries beat the national average by a lot of money. So that's great for everyone. Does anybody have any questions?
Should have capstone in there.
Sure. That is included. We kind of do that already because we're scholars, but for everyone else. Any other questions? Great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody have a paid internship for their capstone?
Yeah. Okay. Alright, hi guys, I'm Kyria, and I'm going to be talking to you today about a required dress code in bin munching. So just a quick show of hands, how many of you guys have ever been in an interview before? Okay, of you guys, how many have been in an actual professional interview? You know, not like restaurant experience or retail experience. Okay, so based on that, what do you think is one of the first things that an interviewer looks at when an interviewee comes in for an interview? Yeah.
Your clothes.
Yes. So, according to U.S. News and World Report, one of the first things and one of the most important things is attire. It's one of the things that interviewers will always look for right when you step in the door. So, Judith Lindenberger, a human resources consultant, stated that within the first few seconds of meeting a person, the person who they're meeting will automatically kind of assume that they know everything about you. So that judgment emphasizes the importance of making that first impression and making that lasting positive impression, especially in the professional world. So everybody knows the high reputation that the Robert H. Smith School of Business has in the business world. According to U.S. News and World Report, we're ranked 8th as best undergraduate business programs with top majors such as supply chain management and management information systems. And then according to the Wall Street Journal, we are ranked 8th for top 25 recruiter picks. Since we're ranked so highly and we have such a high reputation, a lot of top recruiters like to come and recruit our students. Some of these recruiters include Ernst & Young, Lockheed Martin, BB&T, Deloitte, and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Since we have so many top recruiters coming to the school all the time, it is important that we always, keep that lasting impression that we are the best of the best and we're the top students. When they come into this business school, they're expecting top students and they're expecting to see top performers, not just through what they see on paper, but how we look. So it's important that we have this dress code implemented and make it mandatory in order to represent the business school as well as the students that we're putting out into the professional world, starting out from when they're in college, not just once they graduate. An example of a successful dress code is from Indiana State University. Their business school implemented a dress code where students had to wear business casual every day, and if not, they were either asked to leave the classroom or given a 0 for that day. And there was proven success, some by faculty and students. They reported back, and one of the faculties said there was a difference in the attitude of the students who were dressing professionally rather than students who were coming in, wearing sweatpants, hats, sneakers, casual clothing. A student also said that he noticed that recruiters took them more seriously, and he also realized that we just represented the school a lot better and we looked more professional. And then lastly, it wasn't just for the recruiters, but also within the learning environment. Many professors realized that the level of professionalism increased, and with that, there was better prepared students for class, and students were also more respectful for one another once that professionalism was implemented. So overall, there's no real downside to a dress code for the business school. It represents our business school, and it represents the top rankings that we have. And it also helps students while they're still in school with their learning, the preparedness,
and their overall performance. That's all I have. Any questions?
Hello, my name is Margaret Zelensky, and thank you for having me. Today I just want to take a few minutes to discuss your future. It's going to be kind of like selling insurance to you. I'm going to present you with a couple of options. You're going to choose your favorite one. And there's going to be a couple of little secrets along the way. So I'm going to start off with asking a few questions to get to know my clientele. How much do you guys pay in tuition for this university? Don't shout out a number, but just an adjective.
A lot.
Anyone else?
A lot.
A lot and too much. Okay. And how much do you guys pay specifically to the Robert H. Smith School of Business?
Don't know. No idea about it.
None. The answer is none. It's obvious that the Smith School does not require any additional tuition. It's also obvious that the Smith School is huge. It has over 300 professors and staff, over 8 very popular majors, and over 200 classes. So, little secret number 1. Because of the popularity of business majors and the nature of the hands-on business as a field of study, running a business school is very expensive. And business school will not be able to support itself and all of its classes and professors for long with 0 extra tuition going for it. So the number that has been come up with that each business student should pay every year to the Smith School is $3,000. Now I know what you're thinking. Margaret, I'm broke. I'm going to have to start haggling for Chipotle soon, and you want me to pay an additional $3,000 in tuition? I'm right there with you, but take a look at these 3 scenarios that I have for you before you start burning me at the stake. So scenario number 1. Neither you nor any of the students at the business school pay the additional $3,000. The business school is forced to cut down on some classes because they can no longer afford the professors. Many of the classes that are canceled are interesting electives. And you graduate, time goes on, and you get this very snazzy interview with a job that you really want. You're at the final interview, you're sitting across from your boss, you're thinking of all the zeros at the end of your paycheck. Your prospective boss is flipping through your transcript, then he stops. He squints, and he asks you, "You must have forgotten the second page of your transcript. Where are all your business classes?" "Well, they're right there, of course," and you point. And he says, "Oh, you took accounting 1, accounting 2, microeconomics. Did you take any electives, anything interesting, perhaps besides equilibrium points?" "Of course you took some electives, but not many that strayed from the business basic tracks because they didn't exist anymore." Now your boss isn't so confident about hiring you because you didn't bring anything new to the table. Students from other business schools who took very crazy electives differentiated themselves, and you didn't. So you're out of luck. Scenario number 2. Neither you nor anyone at the business school paid the additional $3,000. The business school had to cut down and thus dropped in the ranks from various places being in the top 20 to who knows where. You're back at your snazzy interview, your boss is looking through your resume and he notices you went to the Robert H. Smith School, and he doesn't recognize that school because it's no longer in the top of the rankings. And you can yell and scream that it was once great, but he doesn't know that because that was years ago. So you're out of luck. Scenario number 3. You and everyone at the business school pays the additional $3,000. The school is not only able to maintain all of its classrooms, it also adds new and interesting electives, renowned professors, and your prospective boss pats you on the back and says, "Job well done." So, little secret number 3. Only scenario number 3 gets you the job. Paying the extra $3,000 to stay in the business school, it may be a hard pill to swallow right now, but it will definitely help you have a healthy future. And thank you for your time.
Who has the first question? Well, a question that I frequently get asked is, doesn't this sound kind of like a domino effect? First, the business school is going to have extra tuition, then the engineering school, and then the arts and sciences school. And so you ask, is this going to just raise everyone's tuition in general? And the answer is no, because business as a major is fundamentally different from every other major. I should know. I am not a business major, but I am privy to a lot of business classes. So I know that for business classes, it's not just reading a book or memorizing some text or writing an essay. It's about hands-on. It's being somewhere. It's talking to people. It's hands-on simulations, things that not only have I never done as an English major, but I never have to do. That is why business is more expensive and therefore requires more money. Any further questions?
In terms of bringing up arguments, it's now to the point where it's actually almost a majority of schools that are actually doing this versus not doing it. How come in terms of arguments you didn't actually use like the data that other schools like UVA are doing it, James Madison is doing it, Ohio State, Illinois, I mean pretty much we're the minority at this point. Why did you not sort of make that argument?
I can tell you all day that everyone else does it, but in the end, you're feeling that burning hole in your wallet and you don't care what anyone else is doing. You just want to focus on how is this going to benefit you, and I explained to you how this would benefit you. All right, thank you.
Who are the accounting majors here?
Oh, that was my question.
Oh, sorry about
It's
that.
okay.
All
Alright. Hello, so I'm going to be presenting on getting a master's in accounting degree. And so we're going to do a quick question poll. So how many of you are accounting majors? Okay, so a couple of you. Well, I'm an accounting major myself. But for those of you who are not accounting majors, there is an requirement for accounting majors to get 150 credits to get a CPA license. And so one way to get that, to get the requirement, is to get a accounting degree in when you get your master's. And so I'll be going over the benefits, and then we'll end with some people's. So why do we need 150 credits? So accountants need 150 credits because to take the CPA license, you have less than 150 credits, but once you pass all your exams, you need the 150 credits to get your license. And so, a lawyer needs a license to practice law, accountants need the CPA license to practice accounting. And so, is anyone from any of these states or the Virgin Islands? Okay, no. Okay, so then that unfortunately means that we're all going to have 150 credits because those are only exceptions to the 150 credit rules. And so one of the options for getting 150 credits is to get a master's degree. And you can take filler courses to fill up that 150 credits in your undergraduate, but I would suggest that you get a master's degree in accounting because it only takes 1 year to take your 30 extra credits, and you'll be taking advanced accounting courses, which will enhance your knowledge, and you'll get a master's degree. And so this is the Maryland Master's Program, and I looked at the curriculum, and some of the courses you'll be taking is financial statement analysis, advanced managerial accounting, and then forensic accounting. And so these courses, some of them aren't available when you're an undergraduate, so you'll never get exposed to forensic accounting in undergraduate. So getting a master's degree will give you greater view of accounting in all the fields it's involved with. But if you're not an accounting major, it's okay. Still, the 150 credits will not apply to you, but you can still get a CPA license if you get your 120 credits as whatever major you are, and then you get a master in accounting, and then you can still be a CPA. And so, what are the benefits of getting a master's degree? Yes, there's a high cost in investing in your education, but this will provide you a benefits for your future. So you get your foot in the door. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you'll be more attractive to recruiters. There's a chance for you that after you graduate from undergraduate, you won't get a job offer, or you won't get your like dream job. And so getting a master's degree, maybe you'll be more like attracted to recruiters later on. So 1 year after you graduate, maybe PwC or other big fours will give you an offer. And taking these more heavily concentrated accounting courses in your master's degree will get you prepared for a CPA exam, which is going to test you pretty much on everything accounting. And so the more knowledge you have, the more you can apply to your exam and more you can apply to your job in the future. So taking like a financial statement analysis course will definitely help you if you're like an auditor, because you're going to be dealing with financial statements every day of your life after that. And so even if you get a master's degree, you only get an increase in your salary, but sometimes companies will not give you anything for getting a salary, anything for getting a master's degree, so you'll get like the same salary as undergraduates. But if you're lucky, you will get a salary increase. And getting a master's degree also gives you a second chance. So if you didn't do too well in your undergraduate, you get an opportunity to take a master's degree, and you can kind of buffer your GPA back up. And so if a recruiter is looking at your 2 schools and you have a high GPA and kind of a medium GPA, maybe you're pretty good still. But if you did well in undergraduate, you can still get another opportunity to do even better. So you can go to like an Ivy League and get your master's degree. And the last benefit that could happen is it'll be a stepping stone for your future. So maybe one day later in your life you want to have your own accounting firm. Well, this master's degree will give you the skill set that you can open your own accounting firm because you'll know everything about accounting pretty much. And so, in conclusion, getting an accounting degree when you're after you graduate from undergraduate, getting those 30 credits with a master's degree is your best option. And taking those courses are going to be more meaningful than taking just filler courses like basket weaving or like wine making. And so overall, you're going to become a better candidate for future jobs and passing the CPA exam, and also you'll be a better candidate for your future opportunities like becoming a top executive at a company. Is there any questions?
Did you look at the salary statistics for people that actually do this and take a look at like how much more that they have like at the time of graduation and like maybe like 5 years after graduation?
I did not look at that, but I know for like a fact, like comparing my sister and my brother's salary, my brother got a master's and my sister did not, and when they started their job, so they both started at the same position and they got the same starting salary. So it just kind of depends on like what company you work for and like if they're willing to pay for your master's degree. But if you get the 5-year.
So did they convince you if you're an accounting major?
It's really hard.
Actually, I teach in the MS program in accounting here. I enjoy it. It's a little bit pretty heavy in terms of the number of Chinese students, but it's a very delightful program to be in. They actually really like me, so I don't know why. But, we have a lot of fun together, actually. I think part of it is that all their other classes are so boring that when they actually get like a management class, they actually get excited about a different topic coming in. So, all right, thank you. The differential, another differential tuition. I wonder where they were at.
Quite right.
First time I want to do this.
Hello, BSc students. My name is Rashik Ahmed. I'm going to convince you that we need to implement a tuition differential in our business school. Before I talk to you about tuition differential, I want to ask you guys a question. How important is prestige to you in terms of your business school? Very important. Pretty important. How important is the school's prestige in regards to finding a job in the business world? I'm going to say very. You don't hear about many West Virginia kids getting a job with Goldman Sachs, do you? Nah, don't get me wrong. West Virginia is a good school. It's a school. It's a good school. It's a fun school, and it has a low tuition in regards to schools like Harvard or UVA. And UVA's undergraduate B school is 6 times more expensive than West Virginia's tuition. But UVA's McIntyre School is 18 times more reputable in terms of rankings, according to U.S. News World Reports. Now, at this point, you can make the connection that you pay for that prestige. You get what you put in. And UMD is a well-regarded school, but not in terms of UVA or schools like that. So I say we put a little bit more into our school. UMD is actually one of the more affordable public schools out there. And our tuition's actually stayed stagnant for the last couple of years. Now, however, though, we pay for that generosity. Our school has been trying to get good and go up in the rankings nationally, but it's struggling to do so. We used to be 56 when I was applying to UMD, but now according to U.S. News World Reports, we're 62. We're moving down. That's not good. Because of this, only 25% of our business school operations are actually funded through our tuition. Everything else is through donations and the Chinese students at the MS school.
Very important.
That's a slight problem. And you know what I'm going to propose to fix this? We need to implement a tuition differential. We need to implement a tuition differential that raises the tuition by $3,000. For you out-of-state students, that's only a 10% increase in your tuition. Business schools all around the world, over 140 schools, have already implemented a tuition differential. And we need to keep up. Business is a competitive field. Schools like that include UVA. With more money coming in, the business school can better fund all of its operations, which include educating us and preparing us for the business world. As some of the presenters may have mentioned before in the other classes, we also have a space problem. Since business is the most popular major on campus, we need the money to keep its classes at a manageable size. So when we implement a tuition differential, you essentially kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Your school isn't poor, and you won't have 8 a.m. classes on a Friday. Business grads generally go on to earn higher than average salaries. Higher salaries equals higher potential to pay back loans, say if the actual tuition is too much for you. About 60% of the business school is finance and accounting majors, according to Professor Basu. Those are 2 very profitable majors, especially accounting. That's very stable. To be honest, we're not even victims to paying this extra tuition. We're like saviors. We're saving our school. All right, let's look at this from a business perspective. The more money we have in the business school, we have more money for better facilities, better teachers, and more resources to prepare you in the business world. This means that we go up in rankings, we go up in prestige, and we have better job prospects. And that gives us more rights to brag about being UMD students. I want you to think, tuition differential is like an investment. It's not a punishment. It's not like just a school trying to be greedy and taking your money. Don't you want to leave UMD knowing that you're leaving with a degree that's growing up in prestige? You get to brag about that prestige and that degree, just like maybe like UMD students get to do. I mean, UVA students get to do. Thank you for your time. Do you guys have any questions?
You know, the UVA McIntyre number, does that have living expenses in it?
No, that's just tuitions and fees.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why they're so good.
I mean, I knew that they started differential tuition like years ago, but I didn't realize that they were that high.
But you do only pay that for 2 years.
Okay, so it's still.
Yeah.
So once you get admitted, you actually then have to pay the McIntyre rate, and before that you pay just the regular UVA rate.
That's still way more expensive.
Yeah, maybe our dean needs to look at that.
Yeah.
How did you make the decision to compare it to West Virginia?
West Virginia?
Be careful. Your son goes there, so probably hit you in the back.
I mean, it's I didn't know.
I made him apply here just so he got used to knowing, how to make the application, knowing full well that his high school grades were not going to get him in here. So they have a courtesy in the admissions department that they call you before they send your student, if you're employed. They call you to tell you your child's not gotten in. And I think this recruiter or this admissions person sighed the biggest sigh of relief when I said, well, I know that. It was great. He would not have done well here. He's only minimally doing well at West Virginia. It's okay.
All right, cool. I just did West Virginia because of the West Virginia.
All right, so your simulation assignment, make sure that you turn that in. So tonight we're right down here in the executive dining room. Anything else?
Yes, prompt tonight. No latecomers.
Yeah, definitely try to be on time. It's a dinner.
Yep, in your seat at 6:30.
Guys, for those of you who want to set up the internship,
I didn't give you a copy of mine, but I bring it to this tonight.
It says deadline for January not spring. That's why. So can I bring this tonight? I'm so
I'm doing an internship this summer, so I'm just doing it. You can do that for me. I like asking you guys. It's informal internship. That's why I was like,
Just started.
Mine is for the vice president.
I really wanted to go.
Okay.
I was really excited about I was kind of dying, but
Yeah. And they do various projects. Not really big projects, but I do a lot of smaller projects.
Alright, so sit down, you fill out your contract.
You should tell me that first. I want to see that.
I was just more like chill. I like the opposite way.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, eventually you're gonna have to talk if you want to do it.
Just say you're really
It's the other side of the capstone. You'll have a line on your right.
So Dr. Wellman, I wanted to talk to you, follow up about the Under Armour presentation.
Where you want to go.
So you're going to be coming like at
45 minutes late.
You like been working a home show. You like high school sports?
I think we're trying to start like the dinner like at 6:45.
totally,
So first 15 minutes are like a discussion.
Okay.
You went back to high school.
I'll get there. The minute this Under Armour thing ends, I'll be able to get
the
there.
athletic department totally revamped
I don't
the
know
way
who,
that they order and serve and get all the food together for the
doing
boosters
the
club.
Under Armour thing this time. But
Do something you like. If you don't like this, don't do it to check something off. Right? You gotta find something.
Is that a thing about tutoring the kids?
Blind,
like in PG?
She actually
The
was
Lake
like
Star.
the Lake Star.
Lakeland Stores.
Very,
Lakeland Stores is
she
also
really
math
likes.
tutors.
She has a
Get on
BSc.
the
Really
College
likes
Course
the,
Scholars
Oh,
website,
okay.
and it has
The
information
program.
on
Who
joining
else?
that. Okay, I don't know what the deadlines are for that, but
You know,
those,
it's an
they're
interesting
great.
place.
Those are really good.
Are there any more like
People generally start
trips
there, but
that
they
we
don't
can
always.
go on?
Good.
Like networking trips or
Like I know Kevin Kirk.
The
I think
innovation
he's
trips,
gone.
you mean?
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's only the one coming up in
That
January.
industry
And that's cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because when we actually went out to
So,
Seattle,
You know, the Stamp Student Union, if you get on
talking to a guy
the
at,
website,
Adidas.
Stamp, you'll see there's a lot of volunteer opportunities.
apparently
I mean,
like
this is up to
Under
you. You've
Armour
been on campus for a
and
couple years,
Adidas
so
pay
there's
about
a
the
lot
same
of
wages,
different
but
things.
it means a lot more out there because the cost of
I
living
may go back and
is a
do
lot
insurance
less
place at intern
out there.
Maybe over
And
winter. Back
you know, I asked him,
48
you know,
at least
in
48
general,
hours
why
worth?
the industry doesn't pay.
Yeah, more like.
Well, and he goes,
You mean like 2 days worth?
people want to be
48 hours.
in the
Right.
industry.
48 hours is more than.
It's the access
40
to
like a week. Yeah, okay.
No,
Yeah,
for
potential
for
access
the,
to all
get
the
one
perks
credit,
and things that make it.
you have to at
Right.
least put in
Actually,
48 active hours.
My daughter's
Okay, yeah.
in the internship
babysitter,
and
husband
the
is
service
a
project.
HR guy at Under
Okay.
Armour.
Is 3 credits 120?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Debatable.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
talk to you about that, but you're just
Okay.
gonna get one credit, but you have to find out.
He's just happy to see
This is
us.
on you, you've been on campus.
What?
He was at Nestle
Long
before
time
that. He was just happy to
organizations.
skate there. Apparently that's
Just
just
have
quick.
PIS and that's not the only like business organization. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a business organization. Someone else, last year worked with the Catholic, student services, whatever, on campus, and organized a retreat.
Oh.
You know, she did that. She did everything from the beginning to the promotion of it to actually running it. So are you connected to church, synagogue, mosque, you know, whatever? Are you connected, another one did a blood drive for his fraternity. Find something that you know. All right, we're not gonna hand feed it to you. We got a lot of choices.
We have to do what?
We gotta do some work. Get it done. Okay?
So
Oh, go ahead.
I'll be quick. I'm not really interested in that
Okay.
thing that they said, but I was thinking about my fraternity runs a philanthropy event every spring.
A what?
A philanthropy event. It's called Mr. Greek, and it's just the whole Greek community. Everything's done at St. Jude's Hospital. And last year it was terrible. We actually lost money on it. And I was thinking about heading that and trying to make it a huge success. If that was something.
Yeah, absolutely great.
Okay. And
So that's internship. Now, is there, you know, what position in the fraternity do you have?
hypophiles. It's just
Okay, would you be working with someone in this fraternity?
I could.
Or on campus, are you working with someone? You need
I would-
someone who would
yeah.
be your,
My president would be
okay,
right there with me the whole way,
Okay.
and the head of the interfraternal council
Okay.
would be there with me.
that's
So
a big job, and go for it, it's a good opportunity.
I was also thinking about I'm taking a real estate development class this semester, and I'm really interested in that. It was the first really experience I had with real estate. So I was thinking of talking to not my professor, but we have like an overseeing director kind of who is very high up in the real estate class, who I'm close with. So I was going to talk to her and see if there's anything that I could work with her on. So I have class
Maybe she has a
tomorrow with her.
company you can intern with,
Awesome.
either
So-
or, but
Sounds
you know,
good.
get on it before
Alright.
the break.
Do you have one of those contracts too? So I'm not sure if I have one.
It's online, but here, this extra. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right.
Have a good
Okay,
one.
I'm interning at the company that I worked at in the summer. So it's called Wiscom. It's a financial startup, and I was actually doing real work because I like developed the proposals for like new applications that they developed, and I kind of shadowed my supervisor to like client bank locations. So I think I'll be working like 48 hours or more.
So you'll be doing it going forward. You'll be doing it in January, or you'll be doing it during the school year.
Oh yeah, during the winter break.
Winter
Yeah.
break. Okay. Well, you can, as long as you cannot count what you did.
Oh,
but
right,
You can
right.
count going forward
Of
what
course.
you're going to do.
Yeah, do you need any like formal curriculum? It was more of an
We need this.
Just
we
that?
need you to sit down with your
supervisor.
supervisor, fill this
Oh,
out.
I got it.
Okay.
And-
And then, you know, it explains, you read this, right? It
Yeah, I read through
explains what you need to do.
Yeah, I think I covered like the 4
Okay.
career aspects.
That
But-
sounds great.
Okay, do I need to give it to you before the internship, or can I give it to you?
If
in
you're not
spring?
going to meet with them until you're going home,
Yeah, that's
um,
probably the case.
then that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Send me an email about what you're doing, so that at least I have
Okay.
on record that you're
Sure.
and that you're going to start over the break, and Okay?
Yep.
Is there any chance to get the contract signed by him beforehand, or will you not have any?
I mean, I'm out of state from Jersey and the internship's in Princeton, so I mean, the best
So
I
won't
could do is
happen.
probably if I get that signed, I could just scan it and send it to you during the
Great.
winter. Yeah.
That'd be good.
Okay, I'll do
Great.
that.
Okay.
Thanks, Colin.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
I talked to Dr. Wellman. There's a TERP AMA speaker from Under Armour tonight at 6:30 to 7:30 that I was unaware of, like up until a couple of days ago. And I talked to Dr. Wellman about, I mean, because it's obviously also business related, and he said that if I can go to that and then just come right when it's finished to this, which will be like it'll be around like 7:30.
Okay, you probably won't get dinner. I mean, I don't know if they have extras, whatever.
Okay.
He said that was okay?
Yes.
Okay. Aren't they collecting tonight just for success?
Yes.
I'll tell you what, part of your job, can I give you, no, you don't want to carry it around. Where do I bring
I
it?
can meet, because it starts at 6:30, so I can meet you somewhere at like 6:15. It's here.
It's here. I'll be at the executive dining room.
Right,
I
so I
have a
can
winter coat.
I can meet you there.